Hey, B.
What's up?
Well, we're going to do Higgins. Brian Higgins.
Brian Albert.
Okay, do it again. Do it again.
Oh, keep that. No scripts here.
There's too many B's, man.
There is a lot of B's. I'm a B.
Yeah, there's too many B's.
Okay,
man.
I'm a double B. BB.
Brian Albert.
Brian Albert.
Brian Albert.
Yes. We just did Higgins a little while ago. Now we're doing Brian Albert.
Yeah.
He's like the maybe the mastermind.
ringleader.
He's the ringleader.
Right.
He's like Professor X, right? He's like what's the dude in the wheelchair in the X-Men?
Xavier.
Xavier.
Yeah.
He's
Xavier.
Charles. Right.
Xavier Albert. Yeah.
All right.
So this is a picture of them at a bar.
Yep. Yeah, the waterfall.
Yep. So. Oh, they can't see it?
You can't see it, but you'll see it in a minute.
There it is, right there.
There it is.
By Technical Magic. And producer Steve put it on the screen for us.
Thank you, Steve.
So this is the Wrecking Crew right there.
Yep.
John O'Keefe right there. He's happy.
He is happy.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Yeah. So this is going to be a full run.
Full
run.
No part one. No
Yep.
part two.
Well, this is we're going to do
Just the whole video.
Yeah.
Right? You guys asked for it. You wanted it. You got it.
All right. Let's roll it.
Roll it, Steve. Roll it, Steve.
Your
Thank you, Steve.
Significantly changed from no, I've never met or seen her before, to I really didn't have a conversation with her.
You know.
I saw her across the table. I didn't really think of it either way. Correct?
No, I think those are very similar testimonies.
When you were asked in the other proceeding, and this is about the waterfall, question, did you talk to Karen Reed at the waterfall that night? You answered unequivocally, I did not. Is that right?
Yes.
And that's what you told the June grand jury, June of 23, correct?
Are you referring to the state grand jury? Or?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's why I'm using dates. I'm trying to be careful.
Right.
April.
I'm just not clear on what all the dates were.
I'll see if I can clarify.
Okay.
April 2022, state grand jury. June of 2023, a different grand jury.
Okay.
Okay. When you were asked at the June of 2023 grand jury, did you ever talk with Karen Reed at the waterfall that night? Your answer was, I did not. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. With the court's permission, could I play a small clip from Exhibit 53?
Okay.
Starting at timestamp 11:53 and 15 seconds. If we could just play this, and I would direct your attention, sir, to the upper right-hand corner.
There's Higgy right there, right? With the thing on the back. That's when she's ghosting him.
Who's she talking to?
Yeah.
Brian Albert.
Brian
This
Albert.
is the Homer Simpson moment for him.
Yep.
Oh, you're on camera talking to her, sir. That's not you.
Do you recognize the individuals in this clip?
Yes.
Who are they?
You recognize that person?
Yes, I believe that's me.
You recognize that person?
I do. I believe that's the defendant.
Ms. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Reed.
What does it appear you are doing as it relates to Ms. Reed in this
You're
clip?
talking to her, bro. He's talking to her. Look, I mean,
Yes, and I'm talking at the table. I don't know if it's specifically to her, but
you're only looking at her, pointing at her, or pointing above her.
And she's looking right at you.
She's looking right at you, smiling, kind of talking. I'd say. All right, now she's hugging her.
Did you see the part of the clip starting at 11:53 and 15 seconds, going back about 30 seconds?
yes.
Okay. Who did it appear you were talking directly to, and who did it appear was answering directly to you?
I looked like I was speaking, but I can't say for sure that I was directly talking to the defendant.
Even though it looked like you were looking right at her and leaning toward her, and she's answering you.
I was definitely looking that way. I don't remember the conversation.
The reality is, we can take that down. The reality is, Mr. Albert, you had many conversations with her throughout the night, like you would with anybody else you were socializing with, correct?
No.
It's not like you ignored her through that evening.
No, I think that just the positioning of me on the other side of the table, I didn't have really much contact.
There was only one person between you, and that was Mr. Higgins.
No, I don't think that was the setup for the whole night.
I didn't say the whole night.
Right.
I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
Right, so,
That's an example.
right, what's your question? Rephrase your question, please.
Did you or did you not have conversations with Karen Reed that night?
I do not recall having conversations with Karen Reed that night at all, no.
And that's what you told the grand jury under oath, notwithstanding this video evidence to the contrary.
Yes, I don't think that video shows that.
I'm going to let that stand. Next question, please.
No
You were
objection.
interviewed by Michael Proctor on January 29th, the day after this incident, correct?
Yes,
And that was 6 days after you spent several hours, Karen Reed, at this event, correct? 6 days later.
yes.
You were asked by Michael Proctor whether or not you knew or what your relationship was with Karen Reed, correct?
I don't recall if he asked me that.
Did you say to Michael Proctor, quote, that you quote, did not know Karen Reed, end quote?
I may have, yes.
But when you made that statement, you did not know that Ms. Reed had a photograph of you at the Hillside Bar, correct? You didn't know that photo existed, did you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
There it is.
Sir, you were trying to distance yourself from Ms. Reed in your interview with Michael Proctor, weren't you?
Objection.
Were you?
No, I was not.
Mr. Albert, you were trying to distance yourself from knowing Ms. Reed in your grand jury testimony with, well, I'll use the date, in your April 2022 grand jury testimony, weren't you?
No,
You were further trying to distance yourself from Ms. Reed in your June 2023 grand jury testimony as well, correct?
no,
You thought that it was important to try to deny knowing John O'Keefe and Karen Reed during those interviews and or that testimony.
Objection.
Sustained.
Platonic. I object, Your Honor.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Albert,
Gray.
you knew that if you admitted having a relationship with John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, you'd have a lot to answer for when Karen Reed's boyfriend ended up dead on your lawn 6 days later, correct?
Objection.
Yep.
Sustained. You can ask the question differently.
You knew that there would be questions about your relationship with Karen Reed if it were known that you knew her before her boyfriend ended up dead on your lawn 6 days later, correct? There would be questions.
Objection.
You can ask it a different way. That's sustained.
I think the lady goes like this before you don't answer.
So you lied under oath when you said, I've never met or seen her before, correct?
no, because that wasn't my whole statement.
The sentence, I've never met or seen her before, pretty unequivocal, isn't it?
That's a statement.
That was not the context of my whole sentence.
Well, Bev won't let you say your whole
Those
sentence.
are the words that came out of your mouth, right?
Initially, and then I remembered that I had met her once.
Let me just ask it this way.
Sure.
Is that sentence true or false? That you had never met or seen her before? True or false?
That portion of that sentence is false.
Let's get this on the record.
Get exactly. Get it on the record.
Did John O'Keefe
So
come
surprised.
into your house at 34 Fairview at any time on January 29th, 2022?
Absolutely not. I wished he had.
And you're as sure about that as you are about the statement that you had never met or seen Karen Reed in your life,
Objection.
correct?
Sustained. You can ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
I want to get back to the waterfall.
Stone cold.
Yeah.
I know I asked you this about the hillside. I may not have asked you about this specific question about the waterfall. Did Brian Higgins say anything to you about John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walking in together at the waterfall?
No.
Did he say anything or give you any indication that he was upset about Karen Reed showing up with John O'Keefe?
No, he did not.
It appeared from your observations that John and Karen were getting along at the waterfall.
I didn't really notice, but I didn't notice anything was wrong.
They appeared pleasant,
Yes.
happy.
I don't know if they appeared happy. I didn't really notice.
They were interacting with others.
Yes.
You didn't notice any tension,
No.
no argument,
No.
no yelling or fighting.
No.
They looked like a normal, happy couple.
Yes.
Did either of them appear to you to be completely drunk?
I didn't have a ton of interaction with John or Karen that night, so I can't really say, but it didn't appear them that they were drunk, no.
You had an opportunity to review the waterfall video. You did it with Mr. Lally, correct?
The only small portion of it.
In that small portion,
Sustained.
based on your memory, you don't remember this anybody being stumbling drunk and falling down over stools and things of that nature.
No.
Yeah.
You appear to be acting
How you
appropriately.
feel about that? Yeah,
Others appropriately.
it's hard, doesn't it? Yeah, you think about that.
Buying drinks for others, is that right?
I'm sure. I don't recall exactly, but I'm sure that was going on. Yeah.
I object.
So, how many people were at the bar?
That one?
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was that
Maybe
crowded.
5 or 6, right?
It looked pretty empty.
You walk in as a group. You're
Yeah.
going to socialize with everybody.
You're gonna say, "Hey, what's up, man? What's up? What's up? What's up?" What's up?"
Everybody.
Even if you don't know
Even-
anybody. Hey, how are you
hey,
doing?
even-
I'm so and so. I'm Brian. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
That's the proper thing
you're
to do.
Gonna, you're going to shake hands and hug,
Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Especially these guys from Massachusetts,
Yeah.
right? They're
Yeah.
huggies.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
huggies,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, yep.
So I don't like this guy. Did you ever research him at all? I did the what's it called, the
Deep web
Boston's
search?
Finest or whatever it is. Dude, he's a bully, man.
Yeah. Oh
It
well.
gave
Yeah,
the impression that he's a bully to me.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Right. I know kind of what you know.
Yeah. Right.
I did look for his video of him doing some boxing.
I did. I found it.
Oh, did you?
found it.
I couldn't
Yeah.
find it.
I wasn't impressed.
Well, I didn't think I was.
I
Gonna be
got
impressed.
a clip of it in here. You'll see it.
Oh, okay. He found it.
Yeah, I found it. I put it in
See,
there.
he's better with computers than me.
Yeah.
It's not that unusual to say, hey, I'll get this round, correct?
Yes.
You left the waterfall at 11:58, is that right?
Yes, approximately.
Who was invited to come over to your house upon leaving the waterfall?
Whoever wanted to, really.
You had been drinking since about what time in the evening or in the afternoon?
9-ish.
That's when you went to the hillside?
Yes.
That's when you had your first drink?
Yes.
And you continued drinking throughout the evening consistently?
Yes.
Did you believe you were okay to drive?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have at the time?
Ford Edge.
Black?
Yes.
Who rode? Did you drive that car home from the waterfall?
Yes.
Who rode with you?
My wife and my daughter.
What other cars were in the driveway when you got there?
I don't recall. Brian Higgins' Jeep was in the driveway backing up as we pulled in.
So kind of in your way.
Yes.
In other words, you weren't going to park. You weren't going to park him in.
I didn't want to block him in.
Right. Right. So you waited until he moved his Jeep out of the way.
Yes.
And then you pulled in.
Yes.
Where in the driveway did you pull in?
I believe I pulled to the left side of the driveway.
You would have been closest to the garage, or was there a car between you and the garage?
I would have been closest to the left side walkway. I don't think there was a car in front of me, but I'm not 100%.
Mr. Albert, did you move that black Ford Edge at any point that night after you got home?
No.
Brian Higgins was the first person to actually physically get to the house. He got there before you, correct?
Yes.
Describe his Jeep.
He had a Jeep Wrangler. I believe it's white. I think it's white.
Any appendage on it?
A plow.
A snow plow on the front
Yes.
that can hydraulically go up and down.
I didn't see it that closely. I'm assuming it can, but I don't know that for sure.
After Mr. Higgins moved out of your way, out of the driveway, where did he put that Jeep?
I don't know. I don't know where he parked.
So you wouldn't have gotten to the house if you left Waterfall at 11:58. You have to get out to your car, get in your car, start it up, drive home, wait for Brian Higgins to move his Jeep, park your car, then get into the house. That's a fair assessment of the mechanism of you getting home that night, correct?
Yes.
You wouldn't have gotten into the house until, what, 12:15? Maybe 15 minutes for all that?
I would put it more, maybe 10 past 12.
Okay. 12:10 or so?
That would just be a guess.
So it could have been 12:15.
Yeah, and it could have been 1207.
Who was inside the house when you walked in?
My nephew Colin, my son Brian, and then he had two friends, female friends. I believe it's Sarah and Julie.
Positive.
What were they?
What do you think about Colin?
He's the one with the bloody knuckles,
Yeah,
right?
the bloody knuckles. I don't wear tape. I don't want tape.
Yeah, from hitting a bag.
In the bag.
Come on.
Dude, when we did our training, dude, our knuckles were thrash if we didn't have pads
If you
or
didn't have
wraps.
gloves, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. He reminds me of this killer that they interviewed in Russia. He is stone cold, man.
Yeah.
Brian Albert is, he is, and you hear the way he's answering everything. It's very, yes, no.
You
Like,
have to remember, he's probably been in court a lot, so he knows exactly how to say enough, but not enough.
Right. Yeah, he's the opposite of Higgins.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not going to get him to
but
over-exaggerate.
He's stone cold, man.
Yeah.
You can see it in his face. You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
He's a bully, and he's done some serious beatdowns on people.
Or he's ordered people to do it.
Yeah, but I think he likes to get his hands dirty. He seems like the kind of guy. He was a Marine, a boxer.
Yeah.
He ain't no punk.
Yeah.
He's going to want to show people he means business.
He's the boss.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the boss.
He's the boss.
Roll it.
What are you doing inside the house?
They were just sitting at the kitchen table.
And your nephew, Colin, how old was he at the time?
I believe 17 or 18.
Describe him.
In what way?
Height, weight.
So 2.5 years ago, so he was probably 5'11", maybe 6 feet, and probably 100 and, I'm guessing 175 pounds.
Big boy.
He's
not a small kid.
Right.
I mean, bigger than me, significantly.
Yes.
Athletic guy?
Yes.
Played football.
Yes.
Good at football.
Yes.
You testified that you went to the bathroom after you arrived home, correct?
Yes, after saying hi to everybody, I went to the bathroom.
Was that upstairs or downstairs?
I'm not sure I have a bathroom downstairs. I end up not downstairs, but on that floor, and then upstairs. So I'm not sure which one I went to.
When you came
I think
back
it was upstairs.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I think it may have been upstairs, but I'm not sure.
When you came back downstairs from the bathroom, or came out of the bathroom, wherever it was, you no longer saw Colin.
Yes, prior to going to the bathroom, Colin had said that he was getting picked up.
But you never saw him leave?
No,
You didn't see him leave the house, and you didn't see him get picked up by anybody?
I did not.
You didn't see a car outside waiting for him, correct?
I didn't, no.
You did give an initial statement on the morning of the 29th to Michael Lank, about 7 a.m., is that right?
Officer Lank was in the house at that time and speaking to all of us, really.
And you've admitted that you have known Michael Lank for many years, is that right?
Yes.
Did you see that as a problem?
In what way?
Conflict of interest?
Objection.
In what way? You got a dead cop, man. What are you talking about?
That as a
In what way?
conflict?
No.
You were asked who was present at the house that night, the night before, right?
Yes.
You stated the following people were at the house that night, quote, in response to Officer Lank's question, at some point during the time in question. That's how he phrased the question. Who was at the house at some point during the time in question? You understood that, right?
I don't recall his question, no.
You knew that he was asking who was in the house, right?
That's right, yes.
So you mentioned Brian Albert Jr.,
Yes.
your son. You mentioned Caitlin Albert, your eldest.
Yes.
You mentioned Julie Nagel.
Yes.
You mentioned Brian Higgins.
Yes.
And then you added the detail that Caitlin Albert had left your house about 12:15 a.m., correct?
No.
You didn't say that?
I did not.
I may have just a moment.
Yes. Right here.
I think he got to show him that he did say.
Opportunity to review that portion of a report.
I did.
Did that refresh your recollection about a conversation that you had along with your wife with Officer Lank?
Yes.
I had to rehydrate my
Is
brain.
it true that Officer Lank asked you and your wife who else was in the house that night aside from the names already mentioned? And the names mentioned were Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, and Brian Higgins. quote, who is a friend of Brian Albert Sr., end quote. Is that right?
That's what the report says, yes.
And then the report goes on to say, they advised me that their daughter, Caitlin, left the house around 12:15 a.m. when she was picked up by her boyfriend, Tristan Morris, right?
That's what the report says, yes.
Do you think Officer Lank got it wrong?
Perhaps, yes.
Did you say that Caitlin left?
Everybody on the bus.
No.
Did Nicole say in your presence that Caitlin left about 12:15?
She did not.
At any point, did Officer Lank ask you what time Caitlin left?
I don't recall him asking that. It was a very chaotic morning, and I don't remember him saying that.
So, in fact, if he wrote that sentence in the report that you just read, he's just making that up.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'll ask it a different way. If that's what Officer Lank recalls, he's just wrong, right?
Yes.
Anything else that he's wrong about in there?
I didn't read the whole report.
At no point, isn't it true that at no point during that interview did you admit or mention that Colin Albert had been at the house that night?
I don't believe I did, no.
At no point during that interview did your wife, Nicole, in your presence, admit or mention that Colin Albert was in the house that night?
No.
So did both of you conveniently forget that Colin was there?
Objection.
I'll ask it a different way. Did you forget that Colin had been there?
No.
Is there a reason that you left his name out?
Because he wasn't there. He left when we got there. He wasn't there for the duration of the...
see him. There's a reason they left it out.
We had that night.
Except for the fact that you just testified that you never saw him leave. Correct?
Well, he said he was getting picked up, and then he was gone, so I assumed he left.
People say a lot of things, but you didn't see him leave, and you didn't see him in the regular floor of the house, according to you, correct?
Right.
Ground floor of the house.
Right. He was no longer in my house, so he left.
Well, you didn't search the house, did you?
No.
Right. And you never saw him leave?
I didn't physically see him leave, no.
You also gave a statement to Michael Proctor later that morning. It was about noon, maybe it was in the afternoon, noon, 12:30, something like that.
Are you asking?
On the 29th, you later, after you spoke with Officer Lank, you later were interviewed by Trooper Michael Proctor over at Jim McCabe's house. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Colin's name was never mentioned then either?
No, because Colin wasn't at the house for the duration of the night.
So when they said, who's the house?
For a second.
Bull.
What's it?
Crap.
What's it?
Bull.
Hey,
crap.
let me say what I'm going to say.
Sorry.
You're like Langley.
Sorry.
So, isn't Colin the one that they had problems with?
Mm-hmm.
They'd yell each other back and forth across the neighborhood and stuff like that, right?
Yep.
I wonder. Well, I don't wonder. I think he had a little something to do with it too, as well.
You think?
Little love tap here and there, right?
What are you insinuating? Are you insinuating that Colin might have gave a little thumps to Mr. O'Keefe along with Mr. Albert here? And they don't want him at the house because they don't want to put him at the scene of the crime.
Listen,
so they're not mentioning. Remember, what did we talk about earlier? If it's not in the report, it didn't happen.
Right.
What did he say on the stand? It's not in the report. He's telling everybody it's not in the report. So my nephew wasn't there.
Yeah.
But
it was there. It was on the report.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah.
But initially he says, well, that's what the report says.
You know, when you do when you're looking through the YouTubes, right, and you see a family fight, dude, it's not one or two people. No. It's the whole.
Yeah, it might start with one or two people, but usually ends with 5 to 10.
Everybody jumps in, right? Getting their licks in, kicking, punching,
or
whatever
trying to break it up. But yeah.
Mostly it's just a barrage of hands and feet going in.
That's the way it is in my house on Christmas. Yeah,
and he's a boxer.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Colin says he's a boxer, right? He says he hits the bag.
Yeah, doesn't make you a boxer, but yeah,
no, but you know, you're friendly with the bag, right?
Yeah, they're trained. Yeah, so, you know how to throw a punch.
Interesting,
very interesting.
Talked about Brian Albert, Caitlin Albert.
Yes.
Folks in the house.
Yes.
Nagel.
Yes, and there were other people in the house prior to us arriving. I didn't mention them either.
Who was that?
There were some females, friends that were over prior to our arrival, and
But you never even saw them.
No.
So you have no idea who was there and who wasn't there before you got there.
Yeah.
No, I know that there were people at the house prior to me getting there.
Mr. Albert, the question that had been posed to you by several officers was, Who did you see in your home when you got there, correct?
Objection.
No, I'll allow it.
I don't believe that's how it was asked, no.
Well, let me refresh your memory.
But Colin's name was never mentioned. It's left out.
I testified multiple times that Colin was there when we arrived.
Oh, you did it after the fact, right?
Yes, when I was at.
You knew that the defense knew that Colin was there.
Objection.
Sustained.
In your initial reports to the police, his name was never mentioned, was it?
I did not mention it, no.
And Nicole did not mention it in your presence, did she?
In my presence, no.
Let's talk about Caitlin Albert, your eldest. You told Officer Lank that your daughter, well, according to Officer Lank, let me rephrase the question based on our
exactly.
colloquy back
Exactly.
and forth. According to Officer Lank, you're aware that he wrote he was told she was gone by 12:15, correct?
That's what he wrote in the report, yes.
If
Did he get that wrong?
Caitlin was gone by 12:15, she would not have been there when John and Karen arrived to the house, correct? Because they didn't arrive for 15 minutes later.
But she was at the house, so that would be a hypothetical.
Okay, so fine, hypotheticals. Let me ask you a hypothetical. If in fact Caitlin was gone by 12:15, that would mean hypothetically she would not have been there when John and Karen arrived 15 minutes later.
Objection.
Sustained.
When you were interviewed by Officer Lank that morning, other people, not just you and Officer Lank, correct?
Yes, I wouldn't consider that morning to be an interview with Officer Lank.
More of a conversation.
Yes.
During that conversation, Nicole was there.
Yes.
She was in earshot.
Yes.
When she was involved in the conversation, you were within earshot.
Yes.
Brian
Just a
Jr.
real
would have
quick
been
pause.
within earshot.
Brian
So listen.
Jr.
When I'm talking, if I'm in uniform and I'm having a conversation with you, it's an interview.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's an interview.
Yeah, there's.
I'm recording everything you say. Spontaneous utterances, right?
Yep, spontaneous.
Spontaneous utterances, right?
Utterance, yeah.
So even though it's not a report, you can still put it in your report.
It's an interview.
Right.
When you're in uniform, when you're talking to somebody, it's an interview.
Yeah. Hey, we're just talking.
No matter what. Even when you make contact, if they say, hey, can I talk to you for a second on the street? You're just walking by and you say, sure. And they come over and they start talking to you. They're interviewing. It's called a field interview.
Yep.
Okay. There is no just talking.
Yeah.
Cops just talk to each other.
Yeah.
But when we're talking to somebody, that's an interview.
Yeah. Whether you're a suspect or witness,
victim,
whatever,
doesn't matter.
You're getting interviewed.
We're gathering intel. We're gathering information.
Yeah.
We're going to write it down on our notebook. Whatever you say gets written down and gets added to our report. Once it's on the report, that's a wrap. That's done.
Yeah.
That's why they left Colin's name off the report.
And what's even nicer now, but they don't have it. They don't have body cameras, so we don't even have to write anything down. It's being recorded.
Yeah.
But we have to say, hey, everything you say is being recorded right now. It's just so you know, right? Because it's running.
Yeah, I don't say.
And that's I always did because they can always say, hey, I didn't give you permission to record or whatever the case may be.
It's a big camera sitting on my shoulder,
and a big red
light.
light.
You don't see it. That's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not my problem. That's your
problem. But every interaction with the police is an interview.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Steve.
He wasn't downstairs most of that morning, so he may not have been.
But he was there for part of the morning.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that he was there at the time. Officer Lank was asking questions.
The fact of the matter is,
he was interviewing.
Notwithstanding what Officer Lank wrote that you said about Caitlin leaving at 12:15, she did not leave at 12:15. Isn't that right?
She did not, no.
As a matter of fact, in truth, except for the people who lived there, Caitlin was the very last person to leave that location that morning, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And she's admitted that she did not leave until nearly 2 a.m., 1:45, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You're aware that she did not leave until 1:45 or thereafter. Is that right?
I believe that's around the time, yes.
Were you trying to cover for Caitlin so your daughter would not be wrapped up in this investigation?
No.
100%.
But as a reminder, when you were spoken to by the first two officers who discussed who was in the house, you never mentioned Colin was even there, correct?
Objection.
We've gone over that. Next question, please. Sustained.
If Colin was gone, just like Caitlin was gone, that would eliminate them from ever being at the house at the same time as John O'Keefe and Karen Reed, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why is he even
On January 29th, about 11:30 or 12, we talked about the fact that you were interviewed by Michael Proctor at Jen McCabe's house, correct?
Yes.
You knew at the time that the state police were looking to interview Jennifer McCabe about her understanding of what had happened the night before.
Objection.
Sustained.
You were notified that the state police were going to interview Jen McCabe.
Objection.
I'll allow it. Were you notified that?
No.
You knew the subject matter of an interview with Jen McCabe was going to happen over, the subject matter of the night before was going to happen over at Jen McCabe's house. That's why you went there, right?
Objection.
No.
I'll allow it.
No.
Isn't it true that you knew you had been notified, or at least you believed that an interview with Jen McCabe as part of an official police investigation was going to occur at her house?
Yes.
You were not asked by the police to join her, correct?
No.
You had no official reason to be at Jen McCabe's house, correct?
What do you? I don't know what you mean by official reason.
You were not working the investigation yourself.
No.
You were a witness.
Yeah.
Correct?
Right.
So you had no official reason to be at Jen McCabe's house during an interview with Jen McCabe.
Objection.
Y'all allow it. That's
No.
So, but before she gave her statement, you made sure that you were right there to monitor that interview and exactly what was said, correct?
Objection.
sustained.
Were you in her house when Jen McCabe was interviewed by Michael Proctor?
Her house, yes.
You had gone to her house, correct?
I did.
You went there before she gave the interview.
Yes.
So you were there in her house during the entirety of her interview, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And importantly, Jen McCabe knew you were in her house during that interview, correct?
I assume she knew, yes.
I mean, you're in her house after all.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just let yourself in?
Back to 34 Fairview, if I could.
You're in her house, man.
There's no reason for him to be in his house.
Yeah, but you see how he's playing games here?
Yeah.
He's playing games.
Yeah. He's only there for one reason.
To school her.
And he was there before.
Of course, he had to coach her.
Yeah.
Of course. That's why he was there.
He's no rookie. He's experienced. He knows exactly what they're going to ask him.
Seasoned vet. This guy is good.
They're going to ask you this, that, and the other. Just say this, that, and this.
Yep. He's QBing this thing like it's Super Bowl Sunday, baby.
Listen, when I did an interview, I didn't want a vanilla interview. I wanted chocolate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wanted as much details as I can get.
Correct.
But he gave her the advice, be vanilla.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't give him any more, don't give him any less.
Mm-hmm. But the problem with that is people are human.
Yeah.
And some people will just run their mouth.
Listen, and listen.
You know, because remember they were in a critical incident, right? I mean, John O'Keefe died. So that did affect them. Whether they liked him or not, it still affected them because they were there, right? So what they're going to say and how they say it is absolutely going to be different. Even if you're coached, it's not going to matter.
The best people to interview after a critical incident, and I hope I don't offend anybody, is women.
Yeah. Because
they get really animated.
Yeah.
And they tend to say more than what they need to.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So that's why when we go on domestics, we separate it.
Yep.
I got the dude, you got the girl.
Yep.
What do you got? No battery over here. What she got?
He beat the crap out of me and he's got weed in his drawer.
He's got weed. He's got weed and he's got warrants.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why he was there, man.
Yeah.
He knows the game.
Yeah.
So
he's done it 1,000 times. He is coaching her. That's why he was in the house. And Action Jackson is just trying to get him to say, and of course, Bev's not going to allow it, right? So we're not going to hear the answer.
But the jury is hearing.
The jury's hearing it, and that's important. But we're telling you as two cops, yeah, that's is wrong. It's dirty. It's dirty.
In the early morning hours of January 29th, Brian Higgins followed you into the house after you walked in, correct?
Could you rephrase that?
Sure. You walked in, even though there was some moving of cars, you were the first one to walk into the house. And Brian Higgins followed you.
Yes.
All right. Nicole and Caitlin then came in shortly after that.
I think Nicole and Caitlin probably came in around the same time as me. And then Brian Higgins.
Sorry. Did you make another drink once you walked into the house?
Did I make a drink?
Did you make a drink? Grab a beer?
Yes.
Okay. When I say make a drink, did you get a drink?
Yes.
What drink did you get?
I don't know. Probably just would have been whatever was at the house, a beer or something.
Okay. Did Higgins have another drink?
I don't know.
What did you do? What did you and Brian Higgins do once you were inside the house?
We just kind of hung out and talked.
At any point,
what did you talk about?
Did you and Brian Higgins go down to the basement?
No, I don't remember going to the basement.
You don't remember going to the basement, or you didn't go to the basement?
No, I didn't go to the basement.
Did Brian Higgins go to the basement?
Not that I know of.
And you didn't go upstairs to the second floor, did you?
I think I did go upstairs, yes.
Isn't it true that Brian Higgins has never been upstairs in your house?
Prior to that night?
Ever. Including that night, specifically.
I don't think that's true, no.
You owned a dog at the time, correct?
Yes.
The German Shepherd named Chloe.
Yes. Mix.
Describe that dog as being not great with strangers, isn't that true?
I did describe it that way, yes.
You testified that, quote, it started barking because it realized that people were downstairs, end quote, right?
Yes.
Chloe had a penchant for barking when she heard people, correct?
No, not necessarily.
She did that night.
Yeah, I think she wanted to use the bathroom.
Well, that's not what you said in your testimony. You said it started barking because it realized there were people downstairs, right?
Right.
So your German Shepherd, probably a decent guard dog, if she heard commotion and people, she would bark.
Objection.
Sustained.
Dogs bark.
Like any dog does.
Any dog bark. You got a party going on? Dogs are going to bark.
Like cats even bark.
She's apt to bark. That's the only question.
No.
So just that night, out of nowhere, first time ever, Chloe starts barking when people walk into the house.
No, it's not the first time ever, but she didn't bark often.
Okay, but she did bark that night, right?
Yes.
And the reason that you gave under oath for why she started barking was because there were people downstairs milling about, right?
Yes.
So in that instance, on January 29th, in the early morning hours, she was barking because she heard people.
Well, I can't say why she was barking.
Well, you did say why she was barking.
I let her out to use the bathroom, so I think that's probably why.
Except your testimony was
why.
it started barking because it realized there were people downstairs. Those are your words, Mr. Albert, not
Right.
mine.
Okay.
Do you stand by those?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You ultimately did let Chloe out to go to the bathroom, correct?
Yes.
And then you allowed her to stay downstairs and you monitored her with the others who were in the house. Isn't that right?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, you testified in that state grand jury, the same April grand jury, April of 2022. So I let it go out to the bathroom. I let it back in. I kind of monitored it a little because we usually don't have people over the house, and the dog's not great with strangers, period. So I was just making sure that the dog was all right with the people that were over, end quote, correct?
Yes.
So in fact, you did keep Chloe downstairs at least for a period of time with people that were over, right?
Yes, for a few minutes, I think.
Mr. Albert, after you learned that there were questions being raised about John's injuries and dog bites and scratches, in May of 2022, you got rid of that dog, did you not?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask it differently.
At some point,
That's what they say.
your family got rid of Chloe.
Chloe was rehomed in May
And we can use
2022.
whatever words we want to. Rehomed, rehoused, whatever. But you got rid of her. She's no longer part of the Albert family, right?
Objection.
Allow that.
Right.
Conveniently. Conveniently.
Who does that, dude?
Who gets rid of a dog after
So
7
Chloe
years?
was rehomed in, I believe, May
This POS.
2022.
of 2022.
Just months.
Pause it, Steve, for a sec.
The incident we were discussing.
How come he didn't get an objection?
He can't object to me. You saw the picture of his head, right? Stitches?
Snitches get stitches.
Stitches get stitches. That's what happened last time. I don't like... Did you notice how he said he called his dog
It. Yep. There's no
I
emotional.
let it back in. I let it out.
He's
I
good at
watched.
separating
I
himself, too.
monitored it.
Yeah. He separates himself.
He
pretty
does,
easily.
yeah. Like to me, you know, I have a dog, Loki. I let him in. I let him out, right?
Mhm.
Or I just say his name.
Mhm.
It's very weird that he said it.
Yeah.
You know, kind of shows his callous. You know what I mean? There's no emotional attachment to that thing. It's just the
Ice in
it.
his blood.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Ice in his veins. Yeah.
All right. So
Well, after it was involved, she was involved in a dog fight with another dog out front.
Right, but that's also after the incident
Yes.
we're discussing.
Yes, May.
That's a family pet that you had for 6 years or 7 years.
Approximately 6 or 7 years. Not
Your
sure.
explanation just now for having gotten rid of that dog is because it bit another dog and ultimately sent 2 women to the hospital, correct?
I believe 2 women went to the hospital. Yes.
But you took no action to get rid of
Eight-year-old
Chloe
dog.
until after you knew that serious questions were being raised about John O'Keefe's,
Objection.
correct?
Sustained.
did bite John. He's got bite marks on his arm.
At some
Sorry.
point you did realize
What else could you do?
Steve,
there were questions being raised.
listen. This might be. I'm not a dog whisperer by any means, but I have 3 dogs and 3 cats, and I feed the local pigeons. Right.
Right. He's flying pigeons, people. He's flying pigeons on his roof. I see him.
But listen.
That's how he knows I'm around the corner.
The dogs pick up after you. If you're a mean guy, violent guy, they're gonna sense that. They're gonna
Yeah.
act that way, right?
Yeah.
That's what that dog did.
Yeah.
That dog just picked up their aura or their smell or whatever it is,
No, you're
and he acted. That's why he's acting out violently.
you're 100% correct. Because
Right?
I have 4 dogs, 2 Pomeranians and 2 Shih Tzus, and when I raise my voice in the house,
Yeah.
like if I'm mad at something and I just raise my voice a little bit.
Which is all the time.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I'm loud. What are you gonna do? Half Russian, half Italian. You know,
Nah.
it's a good mix.
Yeah.
So anyway, as soon as I start getting loud, like Charlotte, our white Pomeranian, she will look at me and she will run and go right under the couch.
Yeah.
And the other dogs will all span out and separate
It's the
themselves.
pack, man.
Right. So they get away from me because they're like, oh, Brian's upset. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So they can sense it. They can feel it. You're spot on.
Yeah. So still paused.
About John O'Keefe's injuries on his arm, correct?
Objection.
You allow that. Did you realize that?
I heard some talk about it, yes.
I bet you did.
You saw it happen. So.
Yeah.
As of January of 2022, John O'Keefe had never been in your house, had he?
John O'Keefe was never in my house before or after that date.
Certainly, John O'Keefe, you would agree with me, he would count, were he in your house, he would count as a stranger to Chloe, wouldn't he? Never met him.
Hypothetically, yes.
I want to ask you a couple of questions about your house.
Very careful with that.
That's why I thought about it.
Where are, I know there's multiple bedrooms. Are all the bedrooms on the top floor?
Yes.
Okay. How many bedrooms?
5.
As we're looking at your house, from the street looking at your house, are your bedroom windows, your and Nicole's bedroom windows, visible from the street?
Yes.
Which windows would they be?
If you were facing the house, they would be far left corner.
Upper or lower?
Upper.
Upper left corner.
Yes.
How many windows?
Pitchy as
to
you
service that
commented.
bedroom?
I think that's a nervous tick. You'll see him do it once in a
Your
while.
Honor, with the court's permission, could I display Exhibit 66?
Okay.
Do you see what is displayed on that television?
Yes.
What does that appear to be to you?
The house at 34 Fairview Road.
Okay. Understanding this is a graphic representation, not a photograph. Do you see the windows that you've just described servicing your bedroom on that photograph, graphic?
Yes.
Are they right there?
Yes.
Okay. Upper left, 2 windows, correct?
Yes.
And those overlook what part of the lawn?
The front lawn.
Okay. Front lawn toward the left side of the house, not toward the driveway, correct?
Right. I mean, it's the whole front lawn, but yeah.
Right. But they're toward the left side of the house.
The windows are, yes. They asked about the view.
Right.
So the view's the whole front yard.
I'm just trying to make the record, the spoken record, as clear as possible.
Right.
They're on the left side of the house.
Yes.
They overlook, they directly overlook this portion of the lawn,
here.
the left side of the lawn.
It's not here, it's here.
Furthest from the driveway.
Yes.
Right here.
We can take that.
Because his body was right there.
Where those soil cups are.
Where's your bed, or where was your bed inside that room, as relates to the windows?
I'm just trying to think of how to describe it. So the bed would be in the middle of the bedroom.
Okay, it's a bad question on my part because we haven't been there. Let's do it this way. How many feet from the windows would the closest part of your bed be to those windows?
Maybe 5 feet. 6 feet.
You indicated that Nicole came to bed about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Where was the dog?
The dog was in my room.
And she was sleeping on a mat in your room.
Yes.
And that mat is also about 6 feet from the windows.
Yes.
6 feet being from me to Miss Little. Maybe this far?
Could be, yes. Maybe a little further, but yes.
Maybe this far?
Maybe.
It's a relatively quiet street generally, Fairview.
Yes.
Not an enormous amount of through traffic.
No.
Not a busy freeway or a highway, correct?
No.
Not an especially noisy street,
The street, no.
especially at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right?
Right.
Where were you at 6:03 on the morning of January 29, 2022?
I was sleeping in my room.
6
With
feet
my
from that
phone.
window.
Yes.
Was Nicole in bed with you?
Yes.
Had you taken any medication the night before?
No.
Were you on any sedatives?
No.
Sleeping pills?
No.
Were you wearing a sleep apnea machine?
No.
Were you wearing an eye mask?
No.
Were you wearing earplugs?
No.
You shortly thereafter became aware that 6 emergency vehicles, including a fire engine, police cruisers, and unmarked police vehicles, a civilian SUV, were all parked in front of your house that morning, correct?
I'm not aware of what type of vehicles were parked there, no.
You seen photographs since this incident?
Of the vehicles out front?
Right.
No.
Are you aware that all of those vehicles had their engines running?
No.
Are you aware that all the emergency vehicles at least had their lights on, flashing lights?
No.
Were you aware that there were a number of first responders outside the vehicles traipsing around your lawn?
Was I aware?
Were you aware at the time?
No.
Were you aware that there were emergency responders, first responders, who were talking to each other over the din of the wind and the snow
What?
to communicate with each other?
No.
You're aware that there were 3 women on your lawn at one point?
Just only after the fact.
And at least one of those women was screaming to the top of her lungs at 6:03?
No.
Again, your German Shepherd was 6 feet from the window, correct?
I don't know that for sure.
That's where her mat was.
Well, that doesn't mean that's where she always is. She also sleeps in the closet area sometimes.
Oh, so now Chloe's in the closet.
I didn't say she was in the closet. I said she sleeps in the closet area sometimes.
Was she sleeping in the closet area that morning?
I don't remember.
Likelihood is she was sleeping on that mat 5 or 6 feet from that window, correct?
Objection. I don't know.
System.
And your explanation, and by the way, we've already talked about this. Earlier that day, you've already indicated she was barking because she heard people and noises downstairs when you guys came in the house.
Yes.
Okay. And your explanation is that you and Nicole and Chloe, the German Shepherd, all slept through the entirety of that commotion on your own.
Yeah, slept right through it. Nothing to see. I don't hear nothing.
Your front lawn.
Yes.
Exactly what it.
Pause, Steve.
It's exactly what it sounds like, people.
Trained first responder.
Yes.
I thought I got objected again. So listen, I don't understand that, because there could be a siren 5 miles down the road from my house, and I'll hear it.
Yeah.
It could be a cat fight half a block down, and I'll hear it.
Yeah.
Okay. My dogs will hear it as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So this guy is 110. And how was he able to hear his phone vibrate when Higgy called him?
Right. But he didn't hear 8 vehicles, diesel engines running, sirens, radio traffic, a female screaming at the top of her lungs. He heard it, but he knew what it was.
Yeah.
And he didn't need to get up. But he heard it. He knows.
I'm sure our viewers like
he
shaking hands
is
as well.
lying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But he's good.
Yet during that entire event, after you were awakened, all that chaos on your front lawn, you never came out of your house to assist or investigate in any manner whatsoever, did you, Mr. Albert?
Once I was awakened?
Correct.
No.
We've talked about this a little bit, but I want to ask you a couple of other questions about the layout of the house.
Pause that, Steve.
The house is
2 pauses back to back. Holy, must be important.
So you got a dead guy in your front yard. You're a cop.
Mm-hmm.
Family's cops. And you don't want to go out and see what's going on. I call 100% BS on that.
Yeah.
100. If there's a dead guy in my yard, if there's a dead animal in my yard, and I hear people out there, I'm coming out. What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, we got this is a dead whatever. Oh, really? Yeah. What happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or let me check my cameras. Maybe I got some footage. That's what a normal reaction is. If it's a dead person, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what?
Yep.
What can I do to help?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, like that's normal.
Yeah.
What he did, very abnormal.
Yeah.
What he did is cold and calculated. Cold and calculated. And he knows it, and they all know it.
Yeah. And he didn't answer the door either.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
sitting on top of a basement, correct?
Yes.
Or was at the time. Describe how you get to the basement from inside the house if you come in the front door. And when I say, I'm sorry to do this, I don't mean to interrupt you. There's 2 front doors that you go in, correct?
Yes.
For purposes of my question, Mr. Albert, I'm going to talk about the one that's right in front of you, the obvious one, as the front door, and the one to the right of it as you're looking at the house as the side door. Okay?
Okay.
Because I don't know how else to describe it. If you come in the front door, describe for the jurors, where is the basement door as compared to that?
So you walk straight ahead. You pass the kitchen dining room area opening on your right-hand side, and there's a door on the left.
How many paces? The door opens. How many paces to walk over and grab that door handle?
I'm not sure, maybe 10?
10 full paces.
Maybe, yeah.
So
30 feet?
Maybe 8,
Mr. Albert, it's about 4 long steps, correct?
Well, I don't know, you asked paces, so
Paces,
you know, 6 feet?
Yeah. That's not a pace,
6 feet.
that's a jump.
6 to 8 feet, maybe.
Got it.
About 2 paces, maybe 3.
What was the basement used for in January of 2022?
So the basement had a weight room in one of the rooms, and the other room was nothing at the time. It had been damaged, water damage due to an overflowed toilet.
So part of the flooring had been ripped up.
Yes.
And that opened up some slab concrete downstairs.
Yes.
There was also some plywood downstairs.
Yes.
There were a couple of mats where the actual weights were, so they're not slamming down onto concrete.
Yes.
But there was a good amount of that floor that was just exposed concrete.
Yes.
The workout equipment would include things like, what, barbells, dumbbells,
Yes.
heavy weights,
Yes.
heavy bars,
Murder weapon.
Yep.
made from metal.
Yep.
We don't know that yet.
I'm just speculating.
Oh, okay.
Once you're down in the basement, by the way, there's 2 flights that you go down at angles to get to the basement. A series of steps, a landing, take a left, another series of steps, and you stand on the basement.
Yes. Not a long staircase, very small, but
Right. I mean, it's narrow and tight, but in other words, you don't just walk straight down a staircase. You go down to a landing, turn left,
turns a little.
go down, turn left again, and now you're in the basement.
Yes.
If you wanted to move something large or heavy out of that basement without having to go through the house, could you do that?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Like a body.
Could you rephrase the question?
I'll say it again. If you wanted to move something large or heavy out of that basement without having to go through the main house, could you do that?
Yes. I mean, it would depend what it was, obviously, how big it was.
What does it
How
matter?
would you do that?
What does it matter?
There's a bulkhead door you can use.
Got it. Where does that bulkhead door come out of?
It comes out to the backyard right at the kitchen area. You can see it from the kitchen.
And right to the left of that is the side fence.
Yes.
And directly through that side fence is the front yard.
Yes.
The same side of the front yard as John O'Keefe's body was found.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a flash drive with a video on it. I'd ask that this be marked as next in order. Court's permission.
Assuming it's the same one, no objection.
It's the same one.
No objection? That's a first.
Doesn't show up.
There's a friggin' surprise, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Albert, I want to ask you to take a look in just a second at a video and then describe if you recognize what's in that video. I'll probably play maybe 5 or 10 seconds of it and then pause it. If that's okay.
Okay.
Court's permission?
Yes.
How great would it be if the video right now was them beating John O'Keefe in the basement? Somebody, oh, stop!
Pause.
Somebody with a phone cam.
Do you recognize what's depicted in that video, at least up to that point?
He does.
No.
Does that look like your basement door, although the bulkhead doors have been replaced different?
The whole thing looks different to me.
Let's go ahead and play the video. Just a second.
You replaced it all, right? Painted it, redid it.
Pause. Now do you recognize what's depicted in the video?
Yes.
What is that?
So that's was my backyard.
Okay. And what area is over to the left over here?
That's a gate
Okay. And what does that gate open up to?
to the front yard.
So the area that we're looking at right now, where the photographer is standing, is the backyard.
Yes.
Now, having seen that, notwithstanding the way that the bulkhead doors open, now do you recognize what was depicted at the beginning of the video, which was that staircase?
Yes. The downstairs door, the door itself, the wooden door itself, also looks different.
Okay. So, but it is
But it is the stairway. Yes.
going into the basement.
Yes.
Or coming out of the basement.
Yes.
So
Is it your house or not, man?
another way to put that is that represented the ingress and egress through the bulkhead to the basement.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this.
Look at that. Look at that.
There's a fire hydrant right there.
Not too hard to just carry him out. Put him down.
Did you recognize what was depicted in the video? Bring the lights up. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Did you recognize what was depicted in the video as it continued to play?
Yes.
Describe that for the jurors, please.
It looked like the video was from walking from the backyard towards the front yard.
So the video started at the bulkhead door, turned toward the fence, went through the fence, and right up toward the flagpole, correct?
Yes.
Is that an accurate representation of the layout of the house when you lived there on January 28th, 29th, 2022?
Yes.
With the exception of the bulkhead door having been replaced and maybe the basement door.
Yes.
By the way, the 34 Fairview house had been in your family at that time in 2022 for 2 generations?
Wow.
My parents built the house in the late 70s, 79 maybe.
So if your parents are 1 generation, you and your family are another generation, 2 generations.
Right.
Nearly, maybe actually a little more than 50 years, half a century.
That what?
That it was the Albert home.
Yes.
The fact is, you listed that house for sale for the first time ever in November of 2022, correct?
That's the time we listed it, yes.
Just months after John O'Keefe was found on your lawn.
Objection.
Sustained.
Mr. Albert, is that timing, according to you, a coincidence?
Is what?
Is that timing a coincidence?
Well, that's not the timing, actually. We contacted the realtor in 2021, finally listed it in 2022.
Got it.
So that would be pre-incident.
So the listing coming 9 months after John O'Keefe was found dead in your lawn, or dying in your lawn, that's just coincidence. You had this in place long before that.
Objection.
So I'll sustain the question. You can ask it differently.
Sure. All I'm asking is the timing, November of 2022, listing that house for sale for the first time in November, that in your mind is just a coincidence.
It's not a coincidence because we started trying to look into selling the house in 2021, which was the few months prior to the incident.
On January 28th, 2022, you were still an active Boston police officer, correct?
Yes.
Out in the yard, they wanted to get rid of it.
Sergeant Detective.
That means you not only respond to incidents, you actually conduct investigations as a detective, correct?
Yes, primarily fugitive investigations.
You have additional training in order to hold the title and hold a position as a detective, is that right?
Yes.
Not just a regular patrol officer, you have to have special training to get to the rank of detective, is that right?
Yes.
As a sergeant detective, that's above a regular detective, indeed, because you're a supervising detective, is that right?
Yes.
You have experience in training in order to hold that position as a supervisor in the detective spot as well.
Yes, the civil service tests for the rank, but yes.
And you've investigated crimes, I mean, I'm guessing just a ton of different types of crimes, including assaults, manslaughters, homicides, kidnappings, things of that nature.
No.
You've never investigated anything like that?
No.
So what's the parameters of your investigative skills as you held that title of sergeant detective?
So my parameters were investigating fugitive investigations. That was my specialty, I guess you could say.
So you've responded to, obviously, to countless incidents and scenes as both a patrol officer
Yes.
as well as a detective.
Yes.
You've supervised the
You didn't do
investigation
much.
of at least the fugitive type of crimes, correct?
Yes.
Fugitives trying to thwart investigators to try to find them, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's their whole, it's the cat and mouse thing, right?
Right.
You being the cat, correct?
Sometimes.
Find the mouse.
Yes.
You're also trained in techniques, obviously any detective would be trained in techniques that culprits might use or suspects might use to sort of cover up investigations. I'm sorry, to cover up crimes.
Do you have that training, sir?
Did you get trained how to cover it up? Nope.
I took a math class.
Training in what techniques criminals might use to try to cover up their conduct?
No, I've never gone to a training for criminals.
I can't believe he's to cover up. We had any training is to cover up. And he, you know.
What he's saying is, did you learn any techniques that the suspects would use to cover up their tracks? There was a slip of the tongue.
Slip of the tongue. It's a Freudian slip.
But we do that. Mm-hmm. We learn.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn.
Right?
You learn,
God dang, look what he did. That's ingenious. It's an index.
Yeah.
Now we know what to look for in the future.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
every encounter you learn. You have to.
Yes. Every time you talk to somebody as a cop, you learn. Every call you go to, you learn. That's why you can become a good cop pretty quickly, because you're constantly taking in information. You're constantly watching people. And after 3-5 years, you get really good at it. After 15-20 years, you get great at it. This guy's been a cop for 30 years?
Yeah.
So he is very good at it, very manipulative, very focused, very calculated, very strategic.
And that's when he said a cat and mouse thing, he's absolutely correct, because suspects only try to learn how to get away from cops, right?
Correct.
So they're using new techniques, new things that they learn from their boys, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they do the same thing. Criminals do the same thing cops do. I mean, it's really, really no different. You're gathering intel, whether you're good or bad.
Yeah.
It's funny. I used to say this all the time to people. There's two paths in life: good, bad. Pick one and be really freaking good at it.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. And I'm not telling people to be bad, but if you're going to be bad, why wouldn't you want to be really good at it? I'm just saying.
The bad criminals are in jail.
Yeah. The sucky thing is, even when you're the greatest criminal,
you're gonna get caught.
You always get caught. The bill always comes due. And it might be a year, might be 10 years. Remember the guy from Leonardo DiCaprio played that guy, the greatest con artist in the world, right?
Yeah, I just watched it the other day.
Right. So he was amazing,
Impersonator or something.
But after 10 or 15 years, he finally got caught. And the only reason he got away with it back then was because in the 70s, he was doing fraudulent checks. He was just literally putting watermarks on checks and cashing them. And they didn't have the technology now to scan and all the stuff they do.
Yeah.
They do now. But so it was easier back then to get away with stuff than it is now.
Not now.
But even after 10, 15 years and having a great life, what did he do? He got caught.
Yeah.
The big drug kingpins.
And then what did he do?
Eventually get caught.
Then what did he do? He started working with the FBI.
He went to prison for a little bit, and then the FBI said, will you help us catch fraudulent people?
Yeah.
People committing fraud. And he said, sure. So now they got his genius brain with the FBI's guys, and so that we all learn together.
Yeah.
To cover up conduct, no.
Never been trained in the fact that, I don't know, somebody might want to clean up blood at a scene.
No.
Objection.
How would the answer stand?
What about sanitizing a location?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
What about getting rid of electronic data? You've got to have training in that.
No.
In other words, the fugitives that you chase down and try to find, you don't try to utilize electronic data to go after them?
First thing you look at.
Sometimes we do, but I don't have any training in it per se.
God dang it, dude.
GPS data and phone calls, and text messages, and communications, and things of that nature.
Social media.
Yes.
Yes. He's the sergeant. No training.
These are all things that, at least those things, are things that if you didn't have formal training, you got on the job training and just have common sense about how to go after these.
Thank
you, Action Jackson.
This type of evidence, correct?
Yes.
Sir, you had an iPhone with a number ending in 0888 back in January 2022, did you not?
Yes.
How many years did you have that iPhone as of January 28th, 2022?
Of several years, I'm not sure how many, but multiple years.
And Mr. Albert, you were notified by the Commonwealth that on September 23rd, 2022, in the fall of 2022, a judge specifically ordered that you were to preserve that phone.
Objection, Your Honor.
Data, correct?
I'll see counsel at sidebar. All right, so Mr. Jackson, you can have a voir dire.
We're going to voir dire.
What is that?
Voir dire.
You have received, and I want to draw your attention to 2023 now. I'm sorry. Now I'm doing it. The fall of 2022, September of 2022.
Yes.
Did you receive a notice on Commonwealth letterhead indicating that you were not to destroy or in any way manipulate any data on your cell phone? Destroy the phone itself, or to manipulate or destroy any data on that.
Dude, don't look at me, dude. I know, dude. This is pissing me off.
Getting that letter. No.
Of course not.
I'm going to read this for the record, Your Honor, if I may, with the court's permission.
Yes.
Of course he doesn't remember getting
a letter
it.
that said, in essence, not even in essence, it should be quoted as the following. Quote, you, Mr. Albert, are hereby notified that the defense in the case of Commonwealth versus Kieran Reed, Norfolk Superior Court, criminal case number 22-117, has filed a motion pursuant to Mass R. Crim P. 17 for the production of any cell phones that you used between January 28, 2022 and February 28, 2022, and or any data associated with those cell phones, period. The hearing on Ms. Reed's motion will be held on October 3, 2022 at 2 p.m. in Courtroom 1 of the Norfolk Superior Court. You may be heard on the motion at that time. You are hereby placed on notice that these cell phones are the subject of pending litigation and you must not alter, delete, destroy, or in any way manipulate any of these electronic data associated with the cell phones at issue. Period, end quote. Did you receive a notice from the Commonwealth with that language?
I don't remember receiving that document, no.
Were you told in any other capacity that you were not to get rid of or delete your cell phone? In other words, preserve your phone.
Subsequent to me upgrading my phone, I spoke with the DA's office. Yeah. So after that, they told me via a phone call that was the case.
So your testimony is
subsequently
received the notice that I just read, but you did talk to the DA and he told you to preserve, you were on notice that you were to preserve your phone.
After.
I know you want to say that, Mr. Albert. My question is, did you have the conversation with Mr. Lowry?
Yes.
Okay. When was that conversation, sir?
So I don't have the exact date of the conversation. I'm not sure.
Who did you talk to on the phone exactly? Was it Mr. Lowry alone or was it a conference call?
It was a conference call.
Who else was on that conference call?
I believe Steve Nelson and other witnesses in the case were on the conference call.
Can you name those witnesses for us, please?
I believe it was Brian Higgins. I believe.
Pause that, Steve.
Jen.
How convenient is that?
And Jen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. How convenient is that, dude?
That is.
Boys, get rid of your sheet.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Now. That's exactly what happened. Guys, dump your phones. Because they knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So that's he is absolutely full of crap.
You know what they should have done? They should have sent certified mail, sign it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That way they know.
Yeah.
You signed for it.
At the police department.
Yeah.
Not at your house, at the police department. So he's got to sign for it because it could be court documents. It could be a lot of things. Yeah. He's got to sign for it. Now that signature,
married to it.
He locks you in that you got it. Oh, I didn't open it. Don't matter.
You got it.
Your signature's on it. Doesn't matter if you opened it and read it. Irrelevant. Yep. You signed it, meaning you acknowledged it. You're done.
Yep.
It
should be a crime for him to get rid of that stuff.
It is. It is a crime.
But
hey, they're in Canton.
Yeah.
You know, they got Bev there.
McCabe,
thank you, Steve.
Matt McCabe, and maybe somebody else, but I can't recall.
Who initiated that conference call?
The group, dude.
Circle of Trust.
I believe it was somebody in the DA's office. So either Mr. Lally or Steve Nelson, somebody like that.
Did everybody just call into a central number, a conference line?
Yes.
And what exactly did Mr. Lally say to you during the course of that conversation about preserving your phone?
During the conversation, Mr. Lally said that the defense had filed a motion to ask for the phones to be preserved.
Dump it.
And anything else?
That's what I remember him saying.
Did you volunteer that, oh my goodness, I just upgraded my phone last week conveniently. I don't have that phone anymore.
No.
You didn't say that to Mr. Lally?
No.
You just took the information that he gave you and hung up the phone and went about your business.
Yes.
Without notifying him that the very phone that he had just ordered you to preserve had just been destroyed days earlier.
No, the phone wasn't destroyed. I upgraded the phone.
The data was destroyed, sir.
Pause it.
Correct?
Hey, man, I need you to give me your phone. What?
Yeah, here it is, brand new.
Yeah, here's my phone. Where's the old one? I was supposed to save it?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, he knows.
I could see the lawyers probably, I don't know about breaking balls, but why wouldn't you tell the lawyer that?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, so, by the way, I just got a new phone. Sorry.
Again, calculated, strategic. He didn't tell the lawyer he got rid of the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not destroy any data on any phone.
Mr. Albert.
Data.
I upgraded my phone.
When you upgrade a phone, you know that the phone is set back to factory reset before your new phone is handed to you, correct? Happens every time.
I don't know that.
So if you have personal texts with your doctor, personal communications with Mr. Henning, your lawyer, you're just going to hand that to a pimply-faced kid at Best Buy and say, here's my phone? You know that data is destroyed when you upgrade your phone, right?
I think some things are come over across contacts, things like that, so I don't know that for sure.
You can back up your data, sir, but the phone data is destroyed for all purposes. It's factory reset, correct?
I don't know that.
How long have you had a phone? That's an iPhone.
Years.
How many times have you upgraded your iPhone?
Multiple times.
Every single time you upgraded. You know that the phone prior, the data's destroyed on it, correct?
Usually my contacts come over and my photos come over.
I'm talking about that,
So,
idiot.
that's a backup.
No, I don't think I have that on backup, but okay.
Irrespective, you didn't tell Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of that phone.
I was not asked that, and I didn't tell him that.
I see. You felt like if you weren't asked that, you didn't need to volunteer it, even though the conference call was specifically about preserving your phone pursuant to a judge's order.
Yeah.
Correct?
What was the question?
Still pause that, Steve. Dude, listen, I need to apologize to our subscribers and our viewers because this is getting my blood pressure way above. I'm telling you now, take your nitroglycerin pills right now. This is insane, bro.
I know. And you notice he won't change it. He is stuck and he will not change, man. He is sticking to it. Nope, I don't know anything. I would have said, do you do your banking on your phone? Yeah. So you're telling me is that you're getting your banking information to this guy to upgrade your phone, is what you're telling me. You don't care about your money. And he would be like, oh, I don't know what happens. Yes.
Dude, my mom and dad don't speak a lick of English very much, right?
Right.
They know how to run their phones.
Of course.
We've upgraded their phones and they say, clean it. Yeah. That's what they say, clean it.
I was rocking the iPhone 10 for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And when I upgraded it to the 15 Plus,
yeah,
it was the easiest thing I've ever done. And back in the day, it was kind of a pain in the butt.
Right.
But nowadays, I mean, literally, facial, it went, you want to connect? Bleep. Everything went right onto the phone. It was like 5 minutes, walked out. Everything was still there. Everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when you ask you if you want to wipe your phone or clean your phone or delete everything, it does.
Yes.
So he knows what it is.
Yes, it's a very easy process. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Pissing me off, dude.
Yeah, he's...
To Mr. Lally that you had gotten rid of the very phone that he was telling you had to be preserved due to a judge's order.
I did not.
And you didn't seek any advice from, I'm not asking you for the communications. You did not seek any advice from counsel at that time for those purposes.
I don't believe I did, no.
All right, Mr. Jackson, go right ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Albert, you were notified by the Commonwealth that on September 23rd, 2022, a judge specifically ordered you to preserve that phone and all its data, the phone ending in 0888. Is that right?
Yeah, at what time are you asking me that I was notified?
That day or the next?
On the 23rd?
23rd or the 24th of September.
No.
Isn't it true that you were provided a letter by the Commonwealth that stated the following? Your Honor, if I may read this.
Yes, there's no objection.
Thank you. Quote, you are hereby notified that the defense in the case of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, Norfolk Superior Court criminal case number 22-117 has filed a motion pursuant to Mass R. Crim P. 17 for the production of any cell phones that you used between January 28, 2022 and February 28, 2022, and or any data associated with those cell phones. The hearing on Ms. Reed's motion will be held on October 3rd, 2022 at 2 p.m. in courtroom 1 of the Norfolk Superior Court. You may be heard on the motion at that time. You are hereby placed on notice that these cell phones are the subject of pending litigation, and you must not alter, delete, destroy, or in any way manipulate any of the electronic data associated with the cell phone at issue. You received, end quote, you received that notice on either the 23rd or the 24th. Is that right?
I did not.
Your Honor, I would propose a stipulation. I spoke with counsel off the record, if I may.
You both have a stipulation that I haven't seen?
We just determined I'm happy to approach it.
Why don't we approach quickly?
May I, Your Honor? Yes. I would offer the following stipulation that on either September 23rd or September 24th, the Commonwealth sent a letter on Commonwealth letterhead to Mr. Albert's attention, stating exactly what was just read into the record pursuant to the court order dated September 23rd, 2022.
Okay.
Same as Higgins.
Mm-hmm. All right.
They all got
Next
it the
question.
same day.
Thank you, Your Honor. Isn't it true that you were, in fact, ordered to preserve your cell phone by the Commonwealth?
At some point, I was made aware of that, yes.
All right. Let's just get to the brass tacks. Where's your phone?
My phone was upgraded and traded in for a new phone.
It was destroyed.
Your phone was upgraded and traded in for a new phone?
Yes.
Okay. Another way to say that is you traded your phone in and got rid of it, correct?
I traded my phone and upgraded it, yes.
When did you get rid of your phone ending in 0888?
I upgraded my phone in September, third week of September, maybe around 22nd.
22nd of September.
I believe so.
Conveniently the day before.
So, according to you,
Call the phone company. They'll tell you the exact date.
The phone that was the subject of a court order preservation the day before it was ordered preserved.
Mm-hmm.
Rephrase the question, please?
This order was just stipulated. This order.
Something stinks. It stinks.
23rd, 2022. It was just stipulated that on the 23rd or 24th, you were then sent a notice to preserve the phone. And your testimony is on the 22nd, the day before this all happened, you upgraded your phone and got rid of it in total, correct?
I upgraded my phone on and around the 22nd, yes.
And you knew that all of the data on that phone would be factory reset and destroyed.
No, it's not.
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
I do not know that.
How many times have you upgraded your phone in your iPhone?
I'm not sure. 4 or 5 times, maybe.
You're aware that when you turn a phone in and you upgrade it, the phone that you turn in, that data is factory reset, meaning it's gone. It's destroyed off of that device, correct?
Well, I think some data transfers and some doesn't.
We're not talking about a backup. I'm talking about the physical phone. That physical phone becomes a brick when you turn it in, correct?
Correct that it becomes a brick?
A brick.
Oh my gosh.
He is dumb as a brick.
Backup data onto a cloud.
He's not dumb, he's smart.
So the old phone, yes.
Yeah, it's just everything on it's destroyed, correct?
Right, although some of the data transfers to your new phone.
And you're aware that the very data that you were ordered to preserve would have been destroyed, according to you, the day before.
Yeah.
Correct?
Rephrase your question or ask me a question.
Are you claiming that you got rid of your phone?
This dude needs a beat down. You know what I mean?
My phone.
Permission to treat him hostile, Your Honor?
He needs an attitude adjustment.
It could have been after the 22nd.
I don't think it was after the 22nd.
Could have been the 24th?
No.
Could have been the 25th?
No.
So you're absolutely sure that you could not have upgraded your phone and gotten rid of it anytime after the 23rd when this judge ordered that it be preserved?
No.
Because you know that if you got rid of that phone after you had been notified that you were ordered by a court to preserve it, you'd be committing a felony.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Felony.
That's why he ain't saying nothing.
So you now
ain't gonna let
claim
it slip.
that you got rid of the phone on September 22nd, 2022. Hours before you were ordered to preserve it. That's your testimony, correct?
Yes.
Dump your phone. He went and got
Is that just a coincidence?
September 4th was my birthday. The phone was broken and failing. I had planned on getting a new phone, and that just happened to be the day that I got it.
Happy birthday. Was that a coincidence?
Objection.
Happy birthday to you. I had a phone for 6 years, the 10, and it still worked. I don't know how it's broken and not responding. I mean, come on. He said he's changed it 5 times.
Another hearing in June.
He makes a lot of money. He's got a good phone.
That exact question, correct? Whether it was a coincidence. You remember that?
I don't.
Of course you
You
don't.
recall being asked, quote, so it's just a coincidence that within minutes, hours, or days.
Objection, Your Honor.
Let's hear the question first.
Yeah, he's reading what he testified to.
Of you trading in your phone, that phone you had in January of 2022, that you were ordered to preserve it. Answer, yes. Question, that's a coincidence. Answer, yes.
Objection. Strike.
I'll let that stand.
It's from the grand jury.
Yes.
And that's what you're saying today to these jurors.
And Allie wants it stricken from the record.
Yes.
Oh.
I lost all my hair.
It'll grow back.
Brian Higgins
Just give it time.
agree with each other that you're both going to get rid of your phones.
Objection.
I'll allow that.
No.
Pause that, Steve.
You told
She allowed that? Oh my gosh.
You know, man, as soon as they got done off the phone, that group phone call with all the witnesses,
Yep.
I'm sure these two got together and made the phone call and said, hey, where do you want to meet? AT&T or Verizon? Who do you like?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
That's
That's exactly
dirty,
what
dude. That
happened.
is absolutely dirty, dude.
Yeah, but that's exactly, and it's a felony to dump to not follow the court order.
Yeah. But he's playing dumb.
Of course he is. He's
Both of them are playing dumb.
yeah, they're both playing dumb. It's annoying.
And the thing is that they've got so much experience between the two. They know how to play the game.
Right. So
circumvent
yep.
the law.
Well, but they're also making themselves look like idiots
Yep.
in front of the entire country.
yeah, the world.
The world, sorry.
Yeah.
The world.
Yep.
So, no. But he's calculated, man. He's dialed in.
Yeah.
He was ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
You testified at the other hearing in June of 2022, quote, I don't recall saying that I was going to get rid of my personal phone to Brian Higgins. I may have said that. You know, there's personal stuff on my personal phone. I don't recall saying that to him, but I don't know. We had multiple conversations about things, end quote. You remember testifying to that?
Yes.
So you're not ruling out the fact that you may have told Brian Higgins that you intended to get rid of your phone, correct?
No.
You're not ruling out the fact that Brian Higgins may have told you that he intended to get rid of his phone.
No, I don't remember him saying that to me.
Your testimony was, quote, I know there were conversations about the phones. I just can't say if he was going to get rid of his phone or not, end quote. You testified to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I have no idea what he was going to do.
I'm asking, are those your words? Did you testify to that under oath?
Yes, although I don't know the context of the time that they were asking that question.
June of 2020.
No, not the date of the hearing, but when they were asking if and when that conversation took place.
Does it really matter when it took place?
I think so, yes.
When you talked to Brian Higgins about getting rid of your phones, when do you think you had that conversation?
I don't think I talked to Brian Higgins about getting rid of my phones.
Well, you just said
Kitchen evidence.
you can't rule out the fact that you had conversations with Brian Higgins about your phones and possibly getting rid of your phones.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I don't think that's what I said.
You two discussed the fact that you both wanted to get rid of your
Say
phones.
it.
I don't remember having that conversation with Brian Higgins at all.
Your testimony was, quote, I know there were conversations about the phones, sir. Correct?
Correct that that's what you're reading?
So if you're having conversations with Brian Higgins about the phones, what the heck were you talking about?
I don't know the timing of when they asked when those conversations were.
Mr. Albert,
So
I'm leaving it open to you. I don't care when it was. I'm asking you, have you ever had a conversation with Brian Higgins about your phones, respectively?
we may have, I can't remember that conversation specifically.
Then why, in June of 2023, did you testify, I know there were conversations about the phones with Brian Higgins, end quote?
I'm not sure of the context of that.
So now you just can't remember.
No, I don't think I could remember during that testimony either. I think if you read the whole thing, I think I said I'm not sure, I don't remember.
Your quote was, I know there were conversations about the phones. I just can't say if he said he was going to get rid of his phone or not, end quote.
Right.
End
Does
quote.
that help refresh your recollection?
Yes.
So now as you sit here and you answer my question, did you and Brian Higgins have a conversation about your phones?
I don't remember having that conversation with Brian Higgins.
Let's shift gears.
Pass.
Gosh.
Just say pass.
Oh. He's trying to get him to admit it, but he won't.
Yeah, even though he's on.
It's time to move on to that. He's not going to budge. He's trying to trip him up a little bit.
You're aware that
He's going back to the grand jury.
Correct.
I am not aware of that until after the time you're talking about.
So without qualifying your answer my question. As you sit here, you're aware that Brian Higgins has also gotten rid of his phone.
I know at some point Brian Higgins.
Yes or no, Mr. Albert?
Did he?
Objection, Your Honor.
Can you answer that, yes or no, sir?
Yes.
Notice it was just yes or no. Don't answer the question, just yes or no.
Talk a little bit about
So she
Michael.
protected him right there.
Proctor come into your home at 34 Fairview on January 29th?
Yes.
Michael Proctor? Let me rephrase the question. I want to make sure I'm not talking about Officer Lang, Officer Good.
Right.
Michael Proctor from the Massachusetts State Police. Did he come into your home on January 29th?
He conducted an interview with my wife, and I don't remember if it was the 29th or the 30th. That's what you're asking.
Wasn't that interview on February 3rd?
I feel like it was earlier than that, but it could have been February 3rd.
Okay. Presume for purposes of my question that it was February 3rd that Michael Proctor interviewed your wife. Then he would not have come into your home on the 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, or the 2nd.
Right.
And you know from your training, obviously, as a first responder, the first 48 hours of an investigation are absolutely critical, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
In that context, I don't.
Oh my God!
There's a show called The First 48.
She'll call the first 48.
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you think
This
the first
guy.
48 hours of a criminal investigation are critical?
Objection.
And he's a sergeant? Please.
You do know that the longer you wait to properly investigate anything, the better chance that evidence can be manipulated or destroyed, right? You would agree with that.
Bingo.
Did an investigator or any forensics team ever come into your house, ever, to photograph your entire home?
No, I wish they had.
Did an investigator, yeah, me too.
That's a
Did an
bargain lie.
forensics team ever come into your house to search for physical evidence?
No.
Did an investigator or a forensics team ever come into your house to search for trace evidence?
No.
Did an investigator or forensics team ever come into your house to take carpet samples, flooring samples from the basement, for instance?
No.
And to this day, you're aware that that's never happened?
Yes.
Sir, you were in the
wouldn't let that
Marines
happen.
before you were a police officer,
Yeah,
correct?
let it happen.
Yes.
Right.
You're a combat veteran?
Yes.
How long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
During the course of your Marine and military training, did you have any training in hand-to-hand combat?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
In addition to your Marine training on the subject, did you also receive additional training from the police department through the academy or otherwise on basic hand-to-hand combat?
No.
So that's not part of the academy?
Not hand-to-hand combat, no.
Fighting techniques, use of batons, things of that nature?
Defensive tactics.
Defensive tactics. Okay, that's fighting, right?
Well, it's not hand-to-hand combat, no.
Okay, fair enough. I may be using the wrong word. It's physical, it's training on how to either defend yourself or control another person physically.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, they're not going to send you out there on the streets completely ill-equipped. They need to know that you know how to defend yourself and how to put somebody in custody that doesn't want to be in custody, correct?
Yes.
And that might include fighting.
It could, yes.
A lot of times it does.
Marine training and your police training, you're independently trained in techniques of fighting.
Have I boxed before? Yes.
Okay.
You train.
And you've trained in boxing. It's not like you just walk up and smack a heavy bag, right?
You'd have to rephrase it.
You've trained. You're a trained boxer. You're a trained fighter.
I've boxed in the past, and I've trained to box, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'd hit a heavy bag,
Right.
but I'm not a trained fighter. You're a trained fighter.
All right, so there's an objection. You were standing, Mr. Lally.
Yes, sir.
Jurors, disregard that. Mr. Jackson, no comments, just questions, please.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, your boxing skills were featured in a TV show that you were featured in as well, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
No.
You were, in fact, no?
That they were featured in a show? No.
You were never shown on TV in a ring sparring with somebody?
I may have been shown training, but I don't think I was
one I got.
having a
You'll see
boxing
it.
match. No.
You'll see it.
I wasn't suggesting that you were having like a paper. I was asking, is there a TV show that ever showed you in a ring boxing?
Well, that's not what you asked me, but if you're asking me that now, yes.
I'm asking you that now. I apologize. My questions are somewhat inartful.
Yes.
You understand the question now?
Yes.
And you have been shown, I use the word featured, you've been shown on television in a boxing ring,
Yes.
sparring.
I haven't seen the video in a while. I'm not sure if I was sparring.
If we can, Your Honor, with the court's permission, can we take a look at Exhibit 53?
Okay.
There's a clip starting at...
Dude, he had Michael Buffer there to introduce him? He's got to be professional.
Highlight it. Okay, there's several individuals crowded around a table. Can you describe where you are and where Mr. Higgins is?
Brian Higgins is the guy on the right with the hooded sweatshirt and the emblem on the back. I have a pointer. Do you want me to use it?
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So that's Brian Higgins, and that's me.
Okay, we're going to play this. Pause.
Oh, hey.
You see what you
Hey now.
Yes.
What'd you do?
We all see what he just did.
What did I do?
What did you do? What are you doing?
It looks like I'm just being silly, fooling around.
Okay, I'm going to ask you for a little bit more physical description. What are you doing? Why are you grabbing him from behind?
I don't really know.
Is that a wrestling hold?
No, I don't think so.
Control hold?
No, I don't think so.
Is that some sort of control hold that you've used in the past?
Bear hugging somebody? No. That's just those silly
bear hugging,
fooling around with my buddy.
Steve, pause that for a second. Okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there, Mr. Albert. Very poor choice of words.
Fooling around?
Fooling around, and you're behind your buddy like that, looking like, very poor choice of words.
Poor choice of words.
Good.
Do it, baby. The Humpty Hump. Humpty Hump.
Mr. Humpty Hump said it best. That doesn't look good.
No.
What are they doing? Is he trying to say I can break out of your grip or something?
Yeah. Boom.
Oh, I would turn around and I'd give you a knee and I would mess you up.
I did, yeah.
When you let him go, what did he do?
I don't know. He did some kind of, I don't know, he pretended to knee me or something.
Knee to the abdomen?
Yeah, I don't know if it made contact or not, but...
Mr. Albert, I'm not suggesting by my questions that you two are actually in a fight.
Right.
I'm asking what he's doing. Does it seem to...
I don't...
You that he's playing like or practicing like techniques in fighting?
I don't know what his intent was. It looks like he's just fooling around, just like I was.
But if a grown man walks up to you, grabs you from behind, and puts a knee up to your solar plexus, that's probably not the same as a high five, right?
Close.
What is your question?
In other words, it looks like he's practicing some sort of fighting technique.
Practicing? That's not how I see that.
How would you describe it?
I would just describe it as him fooling around. We're in the bar together. We're good friends. And we're just being silly and fooling. That's all.
There's a number of people in that bar. You would agree with that?
Yes.
You see anybody else in that video at any time getting physical with one another?
Objection.
How much of this video have you actually watched?
Not much.
Okay, then let me ask a different question. From your memory of that night, who are the only two people in the bar that seem to be getting physical with one another?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Sure. The only person I remember being physical with was fooling around with Brian.
Okay, play it just a little bit longer.
Yeah, you were fooling around with Brian. Come here. Let's hug it out. Let's hug it out.
Yeah.
This is what I would do to you if this was a real fight. This is what I would do. At least he didn't smack his butt.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I spoke too soon.
Did you see the rest of that video?
Yes.
No question that you two are being friendly with one another, correct?
Yes.
You would agree with that?
Yes.
But there's also no question that of all the people in that bar, the only two people that appear to be imitating fighting are you and Mr. Higgins, correct?
Yes.
In that video, yes.
And is there another video?
Well, no, I just don't know what anybody else was doing in the bar.
Do you remember anybody else? You know, Julie Albert or
I don't remember.
Nicole getting into a scrap with someone?
No.
No, it's just you two.
The other video has a different rating.
Yeah. Shit.
Mr. Albert, this is minutes before everybody headed to your house at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
Including John O'Keefe.
Yes.
Going back to the morning of January 29th, everyone had left your location. This is after you had already arrived, had a couple of beers, and people started leaving. Everybody was gone from your location at about 1:45 a.m., maybe a little thereafter.
That seems right.
Caitlin being the last person to leave.
I believe so, yes.
What did you do to get ready for bed, to settle in?
I went upstairs and just lied in bed. The TV was on. I was just kind of watching TV.
You have a nightstand?
I do.
Is it on your side of the bed or Nicole's, or you have one on each?
We may have had one on each in that house.
Put your phone on your nightstand?
No.
Where'd you put your phone?
The phone was in bed with me.
So your testimony is that you get in bed after being on a road trip all day long, then at restaurants, then at bars, then at a get-together at your house. And when you go to bed, you don't charge your phone?
No.
Yeah. Sleep with it in your,
had the phone in the bed with me.
Why would you have the phone in bed?
We have 5 kids, and you know, if somebody was trying to call or if I needed to reach them, it's just kind of a habit I do. I put my reading glasses and my phone in bed with me.
And you don't charge it?
All that radiation.
Sometimes I charge it, but not as a routine, no.
So you're worried about having your kids out. They might need to get a hold of dad, so you make sure your phone is nice and close. But
it's not charged.
Out of batteries?
Well, if it's dying, then I'll put it in the charger. But if not, I just leave it on the bed.
Well, what about that night?
That night, the phone was on the bed.
How do you know?
Well, I remember the phone being on the bed.
You have a specific recollection from 2.5 years ago.
Remember that?
The state of the battery charge on your phone such that you know it was in your bed that night.
No, I just know as a routine, I keep my phone on the bed with me.
That's not what you just said. You just said
bad routine.
Depends on whether or not the battery needs to be charged. It's whether or not you charge it.
My answer is that sometimes I, of course, charge my battery.
Of course you have.
But I sleep with the phone in my bed.
Every single night?
Yes, mostly every night.
I thought you just said 4 questions ago, it depends on whether or not the phone needs to be charged. Sometimes you keep it in bed, sometimes you put it on the charger.
If the phone needs to be charged, I charge it, but I sleep in bed with my phone.
Mr. Albert.
Even the phone companies tell you don't sleep with your phone in your bed or next to you.
I don't remember if it did.
Should be like 6 or 10 feet away from you.
You've been on a road trip most of the day, correct?
Yes.
You've been out at bars that night, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
You weren't charging your phone. We saw the video. You weren't charging your phone at the bar.
Right.
Nope.
So when you got home, clearly put your phone on a charger, didn't you?
But I did not.
So if your kids needed to get a hold of you, why would the phone being in your bed be an assistance to you instead of just on the charger at the nightstand?
That's just what I've always done. I just keep it in my bed. My wife does the same thing.
Okay. So now you've got 2 phones in the bed.
Yes.
So you're both stupid.
And your glasses.
Yes.
Right between the 2 of you.
Yes.
Got it. Does your phone have a ringer on it?
It does.
Ever thought about maybe turning the ringer on just in case the kids need to get a hold of you?
Sometimes it's on vibrate. Sometimes it's on ring. It depends.
Yeah, it depends on you. You just put it on the ringer. Wouldn't that make more sense to go to bed and put it on ringer?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
All I can answer is that I sleep with my phone in my bed. That's just what I do.
And you know what I'm about to ask you, which is why you're saying you sleep with the phone in the bed, correct?
All right. That's sustained. That's stricken. Come on, Mr. Jackson.
All right.
Stricken, but the jury heard it.
Your keys, your wallet, any other pocket items?
No.
Yeah.
Just the phone and your glasses.
The car.
Yes.
And Nicole's phone.
Yes.
Right between the 2 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, yes.
What about that night?
Yes.
Sir, did you make any phone calls after you went to bed between the hours of 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m.?
Yes.
Who did you call?
I inadvertently called Brian Higgins.
What time?
I don't recall the exact time. After 2.
2:22 and 35 seconds. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Did you speak to Brian Higgins at any point between 1:45 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. that night?
No.
You say you inadvertently called him at 2:22 in the morning.
Yes.
How did you inadvertently call him?
Well, I don't know because it was inadvertent.
So I have to explain that.
Well, it's kind of like a butt dial.
Kind of like a button.
Oh.
All right. How long have you used an iPhone?
A long time.
As a matter of fact, you've been asked this question before, haven't you?
Yes.
Answer my question. You knew what I was going to ask you.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll withdraw. You indicated previously at a different hearing in June of 2023 that you were, quote, hanging out with your wife, and you must have butt dialed Mr. Higgins, correct?
Yes.
At 2:22 and 35 seconds on January 29th, 2022, correct?
Yes.
You were asked how that could have happened, much like I just asked how that could have happened, right?
Yes.
And in that hearing, you said, quote, I'm not totally sure. Similar to what you just said here.
Yes.
And here you added that it could have been a butt dial.
Yes.
You were then called back to that same hearing, but at a different date, an ongoing hearing, right?
Yes.
That was in July of 2023, correct?
Yes.
You then changed your testimony and said, and I don't mean to be indelicate, but your testimony was then that you were you were in an intimate situation, I'll put it that way, with Nicole at the time. And that's how you butt dialed Brian Higgins, correct?
I don't believe I said that's how I butt dialed Brian Higgins.
That's the time.
I think I said there was a time frame that was close.
Okay.
So I didn't say that, no.
All right.
It's amazing what he remembers exactly
You were in
for certain things.
situation with Nicole at the time that the butt dial occurred, correct?
I'm not sure if you have something you can read me or show me.
Can you pause that for a second, Steve? Road trip.
Road trip.
At the bar drinking.
Yeah. To a funeral, right?
Yeah.
And then he's drinking.
Yeah.
Probably had some beers in New York.
Yeah.
Probably had some beers before or whatever.
Yeah.
So 10, 15 hours,
Yeah.
long day, drinking.
Yeah. Goes home. Dude, the last thing I want to do is have a romp in the bed
Yeah.
with the old lady.
He's been
Right?
married like 30 years. They're not having sex
No.
at 2:22 in the morning.
No.
No, they were both probably racked out.
And the thing is both phones are in between them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On vibrate. His glasses are between them.
Yeah.
How is he hearing the vibration of the phone and not the 15 sirens that are blaring down the street?
Because he's a liar.
Right?
He's a liar. So I'm not saying he was racked out of sleep. He was in bed. He didn't butt dial him.
No.
Call him.
What does it take to butt dial? Or what does it take to even make a phone call?
I haven't butt dialed somebody in
code?
years.
A code?
Yeah, I mean, because my phone.
Unless his face has an ass, or his ass has a face. It's fucking late, boys and girls. I'm sorry. It's flipping late.
It's been like an 18-hour day for G and I.
Let's roll it. Let's roll it.
Is it your testimony, let me just ask, is it
Sure.
your testimony that you and your wife were in the middle of some sort of sexual or intimate situation, and that's what caused you to butt dial the phone at that time at 2:22 a.m.?
Objection.
Sistine.
What's your recollection that you indicated at the other hearing that...
Just the first part of that first. Does that refresh your recollection?
It does.
Okay, now you can.
Thank you, Your Honor. Isn't it true that at the other hearing you indicated that at or around the 2:22 time frame, you and your wife were in bed together in an intimate situation?
Yes, around that time, I think it reads.
Do you recall
have a
every
reason.
call that you made between, say, 1:45 a.m. and the next couple of days? Do you remember every single one of those calls?
No.
Do you think it would refresh your recollection to look at a log of those calls during that time frame, if we're going to discuss those?
Yes.
May I approach you, Honor?
Yes.
You may approach.
That's 2 pages worth of documents. If it refreshes your recollection as we walk through this with the court's permission, let me know if you need to refer to that.
Right. I'm not going to be able to read it right now. I'll do it as you ask.
Correct. Yeah. You don't need to read it right now. Just wanted to have it in front of you. By the way, you've seen these records before, correct? At the other hearing proceeding?
I've seen some records before, yes. I don't know if these exact records or not.
All right, and you've acknowledged that at least the first page, these are your phone records for the number ending 0888, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And these are call records from January 29th
Yes.
at 2:22 and 35 seconds in the morning, correct?
Yes.
Who Whose number ends in 5421?
According to this, it's Brian Higgins.
The call at 2:22 and 35 seconds appears to be 1 second in length. And that's from you to him, correct?
It says 1 second.
That would be the call, the initial call from you to him, the one that you claim is a butt dial. Is that right?
Yes.
Did that call roll to voicemail and then you immediately hung up?
No, I don't recall if it. I don't know.
So according to you, it was a butt dial that went to his phone that somehow lasted 1 second.
Right.
Okay. Then there's a second call. If you look at the second line down, there's a second call at 2:22 and 52 seconds, 17 seconds later, correct?
Yes.
That call is actually from Brian Higgins to you, isn't it?
Yes.
And that call doesn't last 1 second. That call lasts 22 seconds, correct?
Yes.
And obviously, you know how long 22 seconds is.
What's that?
We do.
You know how long 22 seconds lasts.
Yes.
You do.
So according to your phone records, you placed a call to him, and then 17 seconds later, he returned a call to you that lasted 22 seconds. Correct?
That's what the records reflect, yes.
When you woke up in the morning, you obviously checked your phone, did you not?
I don't know if I did.
Are you telling this jury that the call that came into your phone was a missed call, or did you answer it?
I did not answer it.
So it would have been a missed call.
I just know I didn't answer the call.
So it would have been a missed call.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that to be a fact. I just know I didn't answer the
You didn't pick it up, dude, but how did it go for 22 seconds?
New story entirely. The question is, Frau Helm, were you lying then? Are you lying now? Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
I missed the call, yes.
That's what I mean.
Right.
You missed the call.
Right.
It did something on your phone and you just didn't answer it, according to you.
Right.
Okay. And again, you're using an iPhone.
Yes.
If you butt dialed Brian Higgins and he called you back and you didn't answer, you would have a very bright red missed call in your call log, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that?
I don't know that.
Have you ever missed a call on your iPhone before?
Yeah, I don't know anything. I'm a stupid idiot.
Call logs, it says missed call in red, correct? After your wife calls you, your kids call you.
I don't think I've ever noticed that it's in red, and I.
How do you know? Then how would you know somebody called you?
You're certainly alerted to the fact that it's a missed call.
So full of crap, man.
Correct?
If I were to go back and look at my incoming calls, it would probably say missed call, yes.
And of course, if we asked you to show us your phone and show that that was a missed call, you couldn't do that because you've gotten rid of that phone, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you tell anyone in law enforcement that next day that oddly Brian Higgins was calling you at 2:22 a.m. and you missed a call?
No, I wasn't aware of that call.
If a call went to voicemail on your phone, you would get that voicemail, correct? You'd get notice of it.
If I checked my voicemails and there was a voicemail, I would get it, yes.
That's my question. Did you get a voicemail from Brian Higgins?
No.
Oh,
Which
boy.
means he didn't leave a voicemail,
Right.
which would suggest that you answered the call, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Let's talk for a second about this butt dial. You went to bed and you closed and your phone was locked. You
like
closed and
blatant.
locked your phone,
Yeah.
correct?
Blatant cover up.
Yes.
I don't want you to tell me what the passcode is, Mr. Albert. That's important. I want to make sure you understand. I'm not asking you to tell me what the passcode
Not to him.
is.
He doesn't care. He just
At the
gives his
time,
phone
was
away.
your passcode a 4-digit or 6-digit passcode?
4, I believe.
And that locks the phone when it's not in use, correct?
The phone will lock after it's not used for a while. I don't know the exact timing of it.
You're exactly right, Mr. Albert. I said it backward. The
Right.
phone automatically locks. You have to use the 4-digit passcode to unlock it, correct?
Well, no, I also have face recognition too, so we can open that way without any passcode.
We'll get to that in a
Hands.
second.
Face on his ass.
The phone
on his
locks when it's
ass.
not in use, correct? And then to make a call, once you open the phone, either through facial recognition or through the passcode, then you have to tap on the phone app in order to open up the phone app, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Once you open up that phone app, there are only 3 ways that you can initiate a phone call. Favorites, recents, and contacts, correct?
I don't know that.
If you tap...
Maybe he's got a tattoo of a face on his butt.
The contact page or the contact app, right? You know that.
Yes.
That's where all your contacts are.
Yes.
They're alphabetized.
Yes.
You have to either scroll through or do a search and type in the name of the person you're looking for.
Right.
You didn't do that, did you?
No.
If you tap favorites, if you have favorites listed, there's a list of favorites. You have to scroll through and tap the one that you want to call, correct?
I think so, yes. I'm not totally aware of that, but...
And if you tap on recents, those are the recent calls that you've had, you've either received or made. Then, of course, you have to tap on the contact in the recents list that you want to call, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, you would have to tap again to end whatever call you initiated, right?
Yes.
I mean, you don't just say goodbye. You got to say goodbye and hang up. You got to tap it to hang it up.
Right.
Yeah.
So would you agree, from a closed and locked phone, there is no physical mechanism by which a person can hit one button and make a phone call?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are you saying that from your closed and locked phone,
Some people think she's not dirty.
inadvertently tapped your phone one time, and that initiated a butt dial to Brian Higgins?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Tell me what you're saying. How
I
did you butt dial Brian Higgins?
I don't know.
22 in the morning.
I don't know that the phone was locked. I could have been looking through my phone. I butt dial people often and make inadvertent calls. I could have hit a last call from him by accident, thus calling his phone.
So you were actually
Sure knows how to work it now.
on your phone at the time.
I was awake, and I could have been looking at my phone.
So, Mr. Albert, how'd you miss the call 17 seconds later?
Well, my wife was in the room with me, and we were hanging out, and I never got the second call from him. So I'm not sure what time he called. I'm not sure what I was doing at that second, but
Bullcrap.
I don't know.
But it didn't go to voicemail.
Well, I didn't get a voicemail from him. No.
So it didn't go to voicemail.
Well, I don't know that it. Don't know that it didn't go to voicemail. I just know that I didn't receive a voicemail from him.
So if you
Then it didn't go to
We're all
voicemail.
guessing here, but I mean, he could have.
No, we're not guessing.
We're not.
Well,
We're not guessing at anything, you
if he
friggin' moron.
voicemail or didn't, or at least got voicemail and then hung up the phone.
I think one of us is trying to guess.
Objection, Your Honor.
Are you now saying that your phone was unlocked at 2:22 a.m.?
I'm saying I could have been.
Are you saying that it was?
I don't know.
Mr. Albert, you were the only person that was there with your phone. Was the phone unlocked, and did you make a call?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
Sure, I don't know.
And 17 seconds later, again, presuming you're the only
What
person
the-
there with the phone, did you answer that call?
I did not.
You would agree
Who
that
did?
in order to answer a call, you can't just look at your phone to answer it. It has to be swiped physically, correct?
Yes.
I think you can hit. I think it comes up green or red for the phone call, whether it's locked or not, and you can
Wait,
hit
still gotta hit the
green.
button.
Right, but you have to hit a button.
Yes,
Did you hit a button to answer a call from Brian Higgins?
I don't.
I don't mean to talk over you. Please let me finish my question. Did you hit a button to answer a phone call from Brian Higgins at 2:22 and 52 seconds in the morning?
Not that I know of.
You do know that that phone will not answer on its own, correct?
Yes.
And simply touching your butt will not answer that phone. It has to be swiped.
No, I don't think it has to be swiped.
Touching your butt.
2-second call from Brian Higgins had to have been answered by you. Isn't that right?
Objection.
Do you agree with that?
No,
Did Nicole, who else was in the room?
just myself and my wife.
And Chloe.
Yes, but Chloe's not a human, so it was myself and my wife.
By process of elimination, Nicole didn't answer that call, did she?
No,
Chloe, the non-human, didn't answer that call, did she?
no.
Lazy Daisy Mobile Pet Spa. This is Carol.
Chloe did. Chloe
It was
did.
Chloe.
It was Chloe.
What was that?
Good girl, Chloe.
No. He's telling him, tell the truth, you idiot.
Call, sir.
Objection.
Can you answer that?
I don't remember answering that call. Could have hit the phone by accident, causing it to answer.
Okay.
Let's move on from this, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, he's getting a little
Your Honor,
upset.
if I could have one or two more questions.
One more question.
Now your testimony is you could have answered the call, correct?
No, my testimony is that I don't know. You're asking me how it could have answered, and I'm trying to answer your question.
At a prior hearing in June of 2022, you were asked this exact question, and you answered,
Doing
quote,
donuts.
yeah, it's only possible that it's me, end quote, correct?
I don't recall answering that way, but I'm not sure.
And you were also asked, after being confronted with these records, quote, I guess I could have talked to him, meaning Mr. Higgins, correct?
I don't recall saying that, no.
Let's move on.
He objected before you finished the sentence.
Yeah.
Loudly.
If he has a stand up every time he objects,
Did you
he's got
have
some
any
big thighs.
conversation with Brian Higgins about a 2:22 a.m. phone call?
That next morning, while everything was going on, I mentioned to Brian that I may have butt dialed you last night. Sorry about that.
Did the two of you agree that you were going to both say those calls were butt dials in order to cover up those calls?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
We did not say that.
But let's be clear, since then and now, you've gotten rid of your phone, correct?
I upgraded my phone, yes.
And since then and now, Brian Higgins has gotten rid of his phone, and you're aware of that as well.
Yes.
Notice he's saying upgrade.
By the way,
not
you
got rid of.
indicated that you were awakened in the morning by Jen McCabe about 6:30, correct?
Yes.
And when you woke up, you said you grabbed your phone to make a call. Is that right?
No.
Isn't it true that you grabbed your phone and made a call at 7:20 in the morning?
Yes. But that's not when I was awoken by my sister-in-law.
Sorry, that wasn't my question. After you're awake and you're up, you
Right.
started making calls.
Right.
My question is, what was the first call you made at 7:20?
Can I look at this?
If that refreshes your
What do you think it's going to be?
court's permission.
No game, Higgy.
Are we going to be
At
surprised?
7:20, I called Brian Higgins.
Oh.
Mr. Allen, you have 6 siblings and 5 kids, right?
Yes.
You have in-laws, cousins,
First call.
huge family, correct?
Yes.
But on the morning you find out that John O'Keefe is laying dead or dying on your lawn, the first call you made at 7:20 was to Brian Higgins. Is that right?
Yes.
The same person you had a call with, or at least the logs indicate you had a call with at 2:22 in the morning, correct?
Yes.
During that 7:20 a.m. call, did you two discuss the 2:22 a.m. calls?
No.
Thought you just said that you told him, oh, I think I may have butt dialed.
Yeah, that was later in the morning when he came to the house.
Not on that 7:20 a.m. call.
No.
What did you talk about on that 7:20 a.m. call?
I informed him of what was going on at my house. We were out the night before, and I thought it was important for him to know what had happened.
Oh, really?
Mr. Albert, I have a couple of more questions about the phones, or the phone usage that morning and in the day, throughout the day. You called Brian Higgins at 7:20 a.m. for 1 minute and 56 seconds, correct?
Yes.
Brian Higgins called you at 7:30 for 5 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yes.
You called Brian Higgins at 7:57 a.m. Spoke for 12 minutes and 33 seconds.
Yes.
You then called your
20
brother
minutes of
Kevin
speaking so
Albert
far.
at 9:40 a.m. and spoke for 1 minute and 5 seconds.
Yes.
Chief Berkowitz called you at 9:50 a.m. and left a voicemail. Is that right?
He didn't leave me a voicemail, but I think he called.
How would you know?
You called.
Yeah, how would you know? You don't know how to recognize voice numbers,
Four
remember?
minutes later and spoke for 4 minutes and 40 seconds, right?
Yes.
You called Jim McCabe at 11:30 a.m. Is that right? Jen McCabe called you back at 12:20 p.m. You spoke for 7 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yes.
You called Kevin Albert again at 2:01 in the afternoon and spoke for 8 minutes.
Yes.
You called Kevin Albert at 6:45. I'm sorry. You called Brian Higgins at 3:24 p.m. and spoke for 6 minutes and 5 seconds. Is that right? And if it refreshes your recollection, there's a second page, second log. You'll turn your attention to the 3:24 p.m. time frame.
It's almost 30 minutes of talking to Higgins.
Take your time.
What do you got to talk about for 30 minutes?
Yeah.
Seriously, what do you have to talk about for 30 minutes about the cop? What do you really have to say all that much? I mean, come on.
3:24.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's very sus.
I see it, yes.
And there's a second call. You call Brian Higgins at 6:12 p.m. and speak for 1 minute and 7 seconds, right?
Yes.
And then the third one on that page, you called Brian Higgins at 6:35 p.m. and spoke for 10 minutes and 12 seconds, correct?
Wow.
That was like 40 minutes.
Back to your call logs, you called Kevin Albert at 6:45 on the next on that same day. Spoke for about 16 minutes.
On, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Then on the next day, January 30th, you called Chief Berkowitz and spoke for 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Yes.
And the following day, you spoke with Jen McCabe, who called you at 8:04 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And finally, Chief Berkowitz called you at 1:48 p.m. on February 1st, right?
Yes.
3 days later, you spoke again to Brian Higgins at 8:48 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
The subject of these calls, Mr. Albert, were all about the fact that John O'Keefe was found dying on your yard, on your lawn, on January 29th, 2022. Isn't that right?
I don't know the subject of all these calls, no.
You had to have been talking about that event.
Of course. It was a horrible situation that was going on. Everybody was distraught, and there were a lot of phone calls. This call log doesn't encompass all the phone calls.
No, it doesn't.
There are a lot of phone calls being made to a lot of people because of this horrible situation.
And the point is, Mr. Albert, those many calls that you've just described, especially as they pertain to Brian Higgins, Jen McCabe, Kenny Berkowitz, your brother Kevin Albert, were those many calls an effort to get stories straight at the time?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely not.
Were those many calls an effort?
Going in.
Absolutely not means yes.
We're going to send the jury out.
May I proceed?
Please.
Thank you. Mr. Albert, I want to address a couple of quick things that we talked about a little bit earlier. The September 22nd, 2022 date, you recall that date?
Yes.
That's the date that you indicate that you believe you got rid of your phone or turned your phone in for an upgrade.
Yes.
Did you watch the proceedings that on this case, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, on September 22nd, 2022?
No.
You were not aware that that was the first date that I appeared on this case when it was nationally televised?
Objection.
Sustained.
Objection.
Were you aware that hearing date of September 22nd, 2022 was a televised hearing?
Objection.
Sustained.
What did you know about the hearing date of September 22nd, 2022?
I didn't know anything about it.
Knew nothing about it?
No.
Okay. Let me ask a different question. This is going to dovetail into an earlier conversation that you and I had concerning statement that you gave to in June of 2023 to the other hearing. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm fumbling the language a little bit, but you understand the hearing that I'm talking about.
Yes.
You had indicated a little bit earlier in my questioning that you did not recall saying something to the effect of, yeah, it's only possible that it was me who answered the phone. You remember saying that? That you didn't recall that?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
You testified as follows. Question, can you just but then you?
Objection, Your Honor, as far as the reading.
As far as what?
Reading from the transcript, he's asked him if his memories are fresh.
All right, so go ahead and ask him a question. Don't read from the transcript.
Did you, in fact, say in answer to the question, if it's not your wife and it's not your dog, who else is it possible on earth to answer this phone? Answer, yeah, it's only possible that it's me. Did you say that?
Yes.
We already knew that, sir. We already knew that. It just took you a half hour to say
I was
it.
asking you about those, as you indicated, many phone calls that you traded between and among your family members and friends, including Brian Higgins. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Were those many calls an effort to get your stories straight about how you were going to, what statements you were going to give to law enforcement and how were you going to testify if this case ever went to trial?
No, absolutely not.
Were those calls, or those many calls, an effort to coordinate narratives between you and your friends and your family?
No.
Were those many calls in any way discussing the fact of creating a story of mysterious butt dials?
Objection.
Sustained.
So you talked about cell phone reception not being good in your house. When did you and Mr. Lally talk about that cell phone reception issue?
The what?
Cell phone reception issue in your house.
It came up during one of the preps.
Which prep?
I don't remember which prep. Probably the last one.
Pause that, Steve.
Prep, Mr. Lally.
You know why he's talking about that?
Why?
About cell phone reception? Because if you don't have good phone reception, it will go to voicemail. Right?
Okay.
Because it won't ring. It'll just go right to voicemail.
Okay.
So it'll be a missed call or voicemail. But he probably said, no, I got great voicemail. He goes, that's out the window now.
Yeah. So now he's got bad reception.
Yeah.
In his house, conveniently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, we had the prep.
Laylee's
before the
trying to set him
jury,
up.
And then I had the prep for this trial.
Okay, so
that's two.
So you brought up the fact that you had bad cell phone reception in that preparation?
The conversation came up, yes.
Was Lally taking notes?
And it did.
I don't recall if he was taking notes.
Was this recorded?
I don't believe so.
And where did you say this conversation took place?
So the prep was at the district attorney's office, which is in Canton.
This morning when I asked you, you said you couldn't quite remember where it took place.
You're right, I couldn't remember this morning.
And I asked you, could it have been the DA's office, and now your memory is refreshed?
Yes.
What refreshed your memory between this morning and now?
I was just thinking about it in my head and reminded myself that it was the DA's office. You caught me off guard when you had asked me. I didn't have it at the top of mind.
He's been off guard all day.
Yeah.
Over the lunch hour?
That might have been the first honest thing he said all day.
Bring up the fact that you had bad cell reception in your house over the lunch hour?
Just now, no.
What did you talk about over the lunch hour?
Just how much time I was going to have left on the stand. That was really about it.
So you and Mr. Lally talked about the fact that you've been on cross-examination for 2.5 hours, and your conversation consisted of, you probably got another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think he was going to lunch or doing something, so.
So you didn't talk about the substance of your testimony?
No.
He didn't tell you what
you were at lunch with him.
He was going to ask you on redirect.
Maybe mentioned one thing he may ask me, but that was it.
Like, what was that?
Just he was going to ask about what happened at the house in the morning. That's, some of the questions on redirect, that's all.
Meaning he was going to ask you...
You just say you never came out.
Question about whether or not John came in the house?
No, not necessarily. Just
ask you about whether or not you had bad cell reception in the house?
No.
What was he going to ask you?
He was going to ask about the morning of the incident, about coming downstairs and why I didn't go outside.
Did he tell you what he thought would be helpful for the Commonwealth?
Nope.
Did he tell you how he thought you should answer that question?
No.
He did ask you about a situation concerning motion to preserve, correct?
No.
I'm sorry. He asked you on redirect about the motion.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And he mentioned that there was a motion that had been denied for the defense to get access to your physical phone, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that that motion was denied in October of 2022, correct?
Yes.
You had already gotten rid of your phone a month earlier, hadn't you?
Yes.
And the preservation order from the judge was still in place when you got rid of that phone, wasn't it?
No, I believe the phone was upgraded prior to the preservation order.
Oh, right.
Upgraded the day before.
Yes.
Got it. That's all I have.
It's like I've been here
Mr.
before.
Albert, you are all set, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jerry.
That was a lot, dude.
Wow.
That was a lot
He is stone cold, man. He won't budge. Jackson was pushing him hard on that phone too, man, for like 30, 40 minutes just on that phone. But he, you keep pushing. If they're not budging, obviously Bev was like, all right, we're done with this. And I don't disagree with it because he's not going to say it. He's not going to.
You know what, though? That brings up the question is, how many times has he done this on other cases where they might have framed somebody for a crime and he's just trained this way?
This is not the first time
No.
they've done this.
No.
I guarantee you.
Yep.
This is not the first time. I'm not saying they've got away with murder.
Yeah.
This is not the first time they've covered something up.
Yep.
Whether it be big, small, I'm just saying this is not their first rodeo by any means. These guys are
they're all trained.
He's the bull riding champion right here at the rodeo.
Yeah.
Mr. Albert.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the ringleader. He probably, that's why he made all those phone calls. That's why everybody kept calling him. Jen's calling him. Higgins is calling him.
Well, I mean, the family gathering is where it all starts, right?
Right.
They pre-plan everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when they had the conference call with the attorneys,
yep,
and they said, "Hey, this is what's going to happen."
Yep.
And I listen. I'm sure it runs deep.
Mm-hmm.
The dirt runs deep,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you guys go down, that means us attorneys, if they're involved, are going down too. If the FBI and the DOJ is involved, right?
Yep.
And especially if they have wiretaps going on Sandra's stuff,
yep,
right? Because they're all intermingled.
Yeah, they might have had wiretaps going for a while,
right?
So there could be some juicy stuff coming out in the next couple months.
Their attorneys might have been feeding them some information, say, hey, this is what you got to do.
That's what they do. Give you a heads up, man.
Yeah.
Yep. Here's the playbook. Let's run it. By the way, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. Just like the 22-second phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Everything set up. Ditch the phones. Stick to the script. We'll get through this.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately, some of you is going to go down, but
some are probably going to house long before you're locked up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How long will you be in jail?
Life in prison.
Yeah. How long will you be in prison? Well,
definitely calculate, like you're saying. So let's.
Yeah, and you know what I wanted to say real quick. The reason he didn't answer the door in the morning, right? Again, that was strategic. I think. Can't prove it.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, if he opens the door and he comes outside, he introduces himself to the scene,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If he opens that door and leaves that door open and a cop
plain view
sees something, like let's say he sees a bloody scene, no body, but just a bloody scene, he's gonna now go, uh-oh, Mr. Albert, what happened in here? So now Mr. Albert's stuck, right? Now the cops, if he sees a scene and you have a dead guy out front, he can do a premise freeze, meaning everybody out of the house is now the cops. They own the house, and then they're going to get a warrant to come and search the house, called a premise freeze, done hundreds of times.
Yeah.
He couldn't risk that, I believe.
Yeah.
And so it was all strategic. He was saying, I'm going to say I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. I never came out of my house. I didn't care what was going on in my front yard. Lie, lie, lie.
22-second phone call. Hey, I'm still cleaning up.
Yeah. So I think it was very calculated and very strategic that he did not open that door. And I'm just going to say, for his sake, he was smart. Again, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He
plays dumb on the stand, but he knows.
He plays very dumb on the stand, but he is very calculated. Yeah. Okay, very smart. So anyway, it's been a long day for us. We hope you enjoyed this video. We have a lot more coming. So click the like button.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much for all the subscribers. We had a blast doing the live shows. There's going to be a lot more to come. So we hope you enjoyed it. We did.
Yeah.
You watch, we'll make them.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Well, yeah. If we make them, somebody's got to watch.
Well, somebody's got to watch.
Yeah.
Well, we watch them. You don't watch them.
Wow.
Did you just hear what producer Steve said?
He's
watching it now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Either way. Hey, thanks for watching.
And for those still serving, have a safe tour duty, please.
Make a difference in someone's life. Stay classy, Las Vegas.
Always.
1 Sam 5 and 1 Sam 6, copy of 425 call.
Copy. 1 Sam 5 en route.
1 Sam 6, copy, en route.